entered your kind of villain, I guess that's like gang era. Have you joined the gangs?
This is my Con the Fruiterer necklace, as per G's statement. I miss the 90s.
Dollar box.
Grand sale.
My parents used to shop. Hang on, I'm not turned on.
Oh, you're unplugged.
And I mean the microphone, that is, just to be clear. That's bad. Oh,
What is happening?
what was that?
That was your books.
No! Not my books, not my background.
Grand sale.
Grand sale. Give me a sec, I got to fix my background.
How many more weeks do we have to deal with this?
Well, I reckon it looks all right, doesn't it?
Let me look at it. Give it to me.
Not a bad background.
Give it to me.
For those that are listening, I brought my YouTube button down with me and hid it in
so
my background.
small.
It is that I've heard that from so many. No. It is tiny, isn't it? And that is because of saving the environment. Last year, they announced they were doing a new lightweight play button. Well, hang on. There we go.
It should go there.
Yeah, it needs to be like right in the center.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Lightning Bolt. When we get our Oddcast play button, you're getting demoted out of the set.
Yeah.
You're gone.
My $14 lightning bolt from Kmart. But that sign will stay with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say these are actually pure plastic.
Yeah, that's a shame. I swear they were bigger.
They were, you're correct, they were. It was middle of last year, I think it was. They announced their new lightweight design. Look, I'm still pretty happy because
Is it plastic or is it aluminium?
No, it is. It's actually plastic. But at least it feels like plastic, and the edges are like, it's not even particularly well made, if I'm honest.
Yeah, they make them at bulk and just...
Yeah, it's not a wonderful piece of engineering.
No
But it's what it means. It's what it represents, and it looks
still bloody cool.
Looks good on camera. It's like all the props in TV and stuff. They're all rubbish.
Do you know what you could probably do? Is like, anyway, yes, you've obviously graduated to that, which is awesome. But you could probably just get like a bigger one made so it looks nicer.
I reckon I could. There's heaps of places that do them online. You can buy them.
I was going to say, you could.
And obviously, if you buy your own fake one, it doesn't mean anything. It's the meaning that's important.
Yeah.
But I've got the real one.
Yeah. No, you've qualified for it,
yeah,
but you get this like a nicer looking...
I would pay money for a proper billet aluminium CNC
Well, they should give you that
machine,
option. Like, hey, here's the one we send you for free, which is lovely, thank you. But like, can I buy a nicer mounted one and I'll put my money towards it?
Yeah. No. Anyway, so I just wanted to bring that down and put that in my background there so that everyone can.
I know you're trying to be annoying, but I'm actually proud of you. So
I'm actually pretty proud of you too, which is a bit of a big deal because historically that's not something I'm very good at.
Yeah.
So,
see, I am all about excellence, excelling, and doing well, and I'm happy to hear that people are excelling and doing well.
Well, cheers, Carly.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers, our Oddcast water mugs.
Cheers. Our oversized 80s memorabilia mug.
It is delightful. Now, can we just get back to this chain that you've got here? Because are you preparing to get arrested or something? You know why in America, all the ghetto, all the gangs and stuff, they have the gold teeth, the gold necklaces and all that stuff, is because whatever they have on their person when they're arrested is kind of exempted from a lot of the other sort of legal processes around proceeds of crime and everything else. So if they just wear their wealth, they know that they'll have at least that much available.
That's why in the opening of Schitt's Creek, they're running around and putting all their stuff on them. That makes so much more sense now.
Well, there you go. Now you know.
Huh. There you go.
Yep.
No, this is my, move that so you can see. This is my new chain thing. I bought it as a prop.
I don't want to know what you and G are into.
No, shut up. I bought this as I bought this as a prop for one of my master's shoots. And I actually really liked it. This is the fashion now to wear like a big chain.
Yeah,
I would prefer it was like a Diamante Cuban, but like diamond Cuban necklace.
Yeah.
But this is what I settle for. $35.
That's what you can afford. Yeah. No, fair enough.
I can't even remember where I got it. But yeah, there you go, guys.
Well, that chain is a lot like what our show today is going to be. It's big.
Oh, it is big. And I said to you just before we started that I have got all the tabs and I need to start like a fund to buy myself a new laptop because it's just like, give me a day off.
Because your Apple Mac can't handle the internet?
No.
Like we're lining up the excuses already, are we? Oh, my Apple Mac. The poor thing has to keep tabs
Every
open.
episode. This is boring.
It has to keep... Yeah, because you keep on defending your piece of crap.
It's not a piece of crap. Do you know what? This laptop has seen me through... I bought it during COVID.
Right. So it's only 5 years old.
It has seen a lot. We have been to war together with this.
No.
Anyway, enough about that. The new iPhone came out or got announced today.
Is that the new Super Slimline one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I don't think I'd like that. I'll break it, and I don't want
I
that.
hate this trend of having the camera lens protrude and
Yeah.
bulge out.
Yeah,
Can
I
we
would
not
agree.
do that, please? Can we just make the entire, whatever the minimum thickness is for your camera, make the whole phone that thickness and just give me like a super long life battery or something.
I'm on board with that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I normally do the, the 2-year upgrade kind of deal.
Yeah.
This is now 3 years old. This is an iPhone, I don't know, 14 or something. And I haven't upgraded because I'm like, there's not enough jump. These are the price of a laptop.
Yeah.
$2,500.
Yeah, and a tablet now is genuinely the price of a laptop.
Yeah, and so I think we've had this chat before, but this is the pickle that I face because it's more a productivity thing. So I fully spec this Mac out, but I don't like taking it from the house because this is my workhorse. So if something were to happen, it broke, it got stolen, whatever, I'd be in a lot of trouble. This is how I do all my work.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I need a computer at home, but because I do a lot of video and editing, it needs to be a good enough computer to be at home, right? So this one. But then I'm like, okay, well, I need a portable computer. So I wanted to go and buy the iPad, like a nicer iPad. That was where I was at.
$1,800 now?
No, the iPad Pro and, the big, I like a big screen. I'm just done with the little screen shit.
Yeah, but
you
also, you do graphic stuff all the time. You need some
I don't want to
stuff.
look at a tiny little 13-inch screen.
Yeah.
So the bigger one, I think it's like $2,000 if you buy like the keyboard and all the shit anyway.
It's insane.
And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. And so an MacBook Air, which is, by the way, a really good laptop. I did have one, but I sold it. That does better than the iPad and it's cheaper. The only problem is it doesn't have as much processing power.
Sure.
So these are all these trade-offs. I'm like, can we just make one computer that does everything I need it to do, that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg?
It's called a PC.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
They're rubbish. No. You have to upgrade a PC every 18 months.
You are a member of a cult.
I am a member of a cult, and I'm proud of it.
So the computer that I bought, I spec'd for myself shortly after I got married so that I could do video editing on a laptop. It was my first video editing laptop. It's still running. I still have that at home. I bought a new one during COVID, which went through the wars with me. Thank you very much. Literally, it's actually the chassis is partly broken because I took a big fall whilst wearing it in a backpack. And the backpack wasn't a proper backpack with padding and stuff. It was just a backpack. And so the corner of it slammed down on the ground. Still works, still functions. And I've since updated that. I got an even smaller one because that was a bit too bulky. I started flying a lot. So I needed something a bit more lightweight. So yes, I've upgraded my laptop a few times over the last 11 years since I got married. But ultimately, they're still lasting me the better part of 5 years each.
Yeah, that's what I normally get, a good 6 years, until I start to get... No, do you know what it is? It's all the programs. I'm so anti-subscription, but unfortunately that's the world we live in now. But they'll do these upgrades and they just require you to have the latest processor. It's deliberate. It's that planned obsolescence thing. And it gets to a point where you try... So I have to have all the Adobe programs open. I go from Illustrator to Photoshop to InDesign. Yeah. Sometimes I'm in Adobe Premiere. Sometimes I'm in CapCut. Then I've got like 400 tabs open on Google Chrome because I'm researching. And the computer's like, come on, man.
How much longer are you going to keep making excuses for your Macs? That's the only question. It's not how much longer am I going to keep on teasing you. It's how much longer are you going to keep making excuses.
See this book?
Yeah, hit the laptop. Yes, good idea. All right, what's our word?
This episode is full of violence, so maybe I shouldn't
need a violent word.
Look violent myself.
You need a violent word.
All right, ready?
And stop. I was too late. Sorry. Stop.
Left or right?
Right. Down the bottom.
Luminary. That's not.
No.
I know that. A loompa, a mythical radiant bird from Asia that shines so brightly it absorbs its own shadow.
A little bit too specific.
Ooh, lugubrious.
Lugubrious. I have heard of that before.
Pessimistic, emotionally downtrodden, spiritually low, sad, and depressed. Lugubrious.
Lugubrious. Lugubrious or lugubrious?
Lugubrious.
Yeah. So it's basically Australia.
Yeah, I was like, that's just the sentiment of the Western world.
Yeah.
Lugubrious.
Yep, I like it. Lugubrious.
Lugubrious. Lugubrious.
I like that it has the word goob in it.
Yeah, lugubrious. That's something that I can actually pronounce. Yeah. I'm not tripping over the syllables.
Well done.
All right, lugubrious. How do we say this in a sentence? Prozac failed to ameliorate the patient's lugubrious outlook on life. What the fuck?
Well, Prozac, the drug.
I know what Prozac is, but...
ameliorate means to like mitigate or to improve or to change.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Lugubrious outlook. Okay, so the Prozac failed to lift his mood. Gotcha.
yeah, to make him feel better.
Lugubrious.
Yeah. Lugubrious.
I've been learning a lot of new synonyms lately because I've
Right.
been writing my essay
Yes.
and I'm trying to make it academic.
Oh, yes.
And there's so
wanky
many
language.
wanky language, and you say the same thing, and I'm like, but no one reading this will be able to decipher what I'm saying unless you understand all these words.
Except that they've probably been exposed to wanky language for decades because
Wow.
they're in academia.
That too. I do
So-
appreciate having a vast vocabulary.
Look, vocabulary is nice, but there is a reality. So I wrote my books, both of my books, with my, at the start when I first started writing my first one, 12-year-old niece in mind. And it took a little while to write. So in the end, it's written for about a 13, 14-year-old. And the reality is, unfortunately, with the state of our education system, but also just the reality of mass market trying to reach as many people as possible, for popular consumption, you do have to write to a teenage level.
You do.
For something like what you're doing, obviously that's a very different thing because no sane person's ever going to read it. It's only going to be like, not even your mum. I mean, it's just going to be the lecturer.
My mum doesn't even know I exist.
There you go. So you can write it however you want.
Yeah, well, it's been fun, but good news.
Good news. Well, I guess the fact that I got a YouTube award has kind of worn
You've
off a little
used
bit,
that.
hasn't it? Yeah.
You've used that the last 2 episodes. Like,
But did you know I got a YouTube award?
guys.
Give me a minute to think. You go.
I got good news. I ordered the Oddie merch, and it should be arriving. So when I hear the doorbell, I'm going to run
You're
downstairs,
gonna run downstairs
and grab it.
and you'll get me for like a elevator music.
Yeah, like little intermission.
Intermission.
No, you'll just
yeah.
be cussing me out or
Yeah,
saying something
I'll
horrible
be
about me.
saying what I really think.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
Ah,
surprised.
excellent. Well done to the team out at Horsham for turning
That's-
around that order that fast. That's amazing.
So I want it because I'm going to the protest on Saturday and I want to
Yes.
represent.
Yes.
But my actual good news is I did a shoot yesterday. I've got a couple more masters shots to take, but I wanted to enter the Capture Awards, and I always place somewhere in the top 20, and I want to win, damn it. So I went and had a look at the last 5 years of winners and what makes it to the top, 20, and I looked at the reoccurring factors, and you might imagine that there's a diversity element to it, because most of the winners do have an element of Indigenous.
Kissing the ring.
Yeah. Particularly the portrait prize. So I was like, all right, let's see what I can do. So I'm not going to just bend the knee. That's not my thing. But I did a shoot yesterday and we had some fun. So the old milk bath shoot?
Milk bar shoot.
Milk bath.
Milk bath. Oh, like the body in the bath.
Yeah.
The milk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
I know the idea.
Yeah, so I did that. But because of what I'm doing with my project, I want it to be like a backwards baptism. Like, are we either succumbing or ascending from the beauty standards? And
when you said backwards baptism, I just imagined someone on their face in the milk bath. I thought that's not a photo I want to see.
well, no, they're either emerging or being submerged, right?
Okay.
So I was having a play. So
I am frightened now. I am officially afraid of what I'm about to be exposed
I'm
to.
going to show you the first one.
E-Safety Commissioner, are you ready? We might need your help.
Da-
Okay.
So that is one of my shots, and I love it.
Okay.
And I know you're going to say something so inappropriate. Do not say it.
No. I that actually had not crossed my mind until you told me that I was going to say something inappropriate, and then I went, "Oh, there's inappropriate." Oh, I see it. Yes. Okay. I actually hadn't. What I'm actually thinking is that poor model. That is an incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh, she got waterboarded yesterday, or milk boarded
milk
yesterday.
boarded. Yeah.
100%. Clarissa's a trooper, and then this is probably my favorite one.
Yeah. Right.
So
people are going to tell you that that's AI.
yes, that's the point.
100% people are going to tell you that that's AI. So tell us, because obviously there is Photoshop, there is some post-processing that goes on. What has been done to that?
Literally just highlights. That's it.
Yeah,
All I
okay.
did was just bring out the shadow, reduce shadows, bring out the highlights. But
Tiny bit of color and tone
I'll
and
actually
whatever.
show you. It's on my stories.
But
at
it
the
is
moment.
basically as it came out of the camera.
Yeah, I'll
with
show
some,
you.
some
So-
very slight adjustment. That's amazing.
This is the set.
Yep.
So that's the bathroom. There's
I
the
recognize that bathroom.
And then
What? You didn't even just...
this is it.
Couldn't even just get fresh milk from a cow? Just get a cow to just stand over the bath for a while? Clarissa, you should have demanded better working conditions.
So yeah, she just literally went down and up, down and up, down and up.
Wow.
And we did that a handful of times. So
Getting the timing right.
it took a lot of work to get it.
So that is an amazing shot. I can see why that's your favorite.
Yeah.
It is a disturbing picture.
That's the whole point.
I think I was about to say I think that was the objective.
It's an uncomfortable picture. I can't decide though between this one. That one's arguably more pretty.
Yeah, it's more restful. It's less active.
Yeah, whereas
it's more passive. Whereas this feels like she's the protagonist. Whereas the other photo feels like she's a victim of circumstance of some sort.
Do you know why milk?
Well, I just assumed in the original photos it was because if they took those sorts of shots in actual bathwater, they would have been censored.
No, I don't know if that's why they did it in the original thing. But the milk, I use milk for purity.
Right.
So white, pure, things like that. So, the whole thing is about whether we're victims of or we are perpetrators of these beauty standards which modern women adhere to. And so my whole thing is like there's this Frankenstein theme that runs through the whole thing. You think about what we do to ourselves in reality, whether it's Botox, fillers, makeup even, colouring our hair, dyeing our hair. You know, because people go, oh, there's nothing wrong with colouring your hair, but Botox is too far.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with
why?
Botox, but
Why is
surgery
the
is too
line
far.
there? Yeah.
So, and that's my point.
Yeah.
So where is that line? And then you
Yeah.
go, oh, you shouldn't wear makeup, you shouldn't do anything. Okay, so we don't even wash our bodies? Like,
That's right. Yeah.
do you see the...
So the vegans try to do this as well. They have that billboard where they've got like a cat and a dog and a horse and then it gets to like a cow and a sheep and a chicken. And it's like, where do you draw the line is the question that it asks. And someone's obviously taken that picture and made a meme out of it. And there's a line at the cow, in between the cow and the horse. So the cat and the dog and the horse are safe, but the cow and the sheep and everything are not. And marked on the line, it says normal. And then there's another line that's all the way over, like that includes the cats and the dogs and the horse. It's zombie apocalypse. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
100%. And so that's kind of my thing. It's like, saying that beauty standards are terrible. Well, that's an interesting statement to make, considering that most of us adhere to them in some capacity.
And it is literally baked into human nature. I'm sorry. Different cultures have different definitions of what beautiful is, but we all have an idea of what beautiful is, and every single culture aspires to it. Being beautiful has been a way to get fast access into society, into the king's court. And that's true of men as well as women, less so of men, but it's still true of men. Today, we know even women will buy more product if it is advertised with a beautiful woman.
Yes.
As,
And we've seen the data, particularly the last 5 years post-pandemic, where we have had advertisers leaning into the sort of woke stuff with, promoting obesity essentially and the uglification of women. And it's cost them incredible amounts of money.
Look at American Eagle jeans.
Yeah.
And where they were 5 years ago. And then they've figured it out and gone, this isn't working.
Even Vogue, I won't bring it up and bore you guys, but Vogue Australia put out a cover this week and I was just gobsmacked at how beautiful it was.
Yeah, right.
I haven't seen something like that on the cover of Vogue for a long time. I was like, wow.
Was this the edition where they put me on? Or was that next month? I can't remember.
They're not that
must have been
desperate,
this
bro.
month, judging by what you're saying.
I have to say it now.
But even Mythbusters actually tried this because there's the myth that a woman with bigger boobs will get more tips.
Yeah.
And so then they tested that out and they validated that. Yeah, that's true. And then there was the question of, well, why? Is it sexism? And so they split the box and they had someone controlling the box. And if the person giving the tip was male, it'd go in one side. If it was female, it'd go in the other side.
Yeah.
And they found that actually having bigger boobs is directly correlated with getting more tips from women as well as from men. Yeah. There is something psychological
It's almost
going
like
on.
a hierarchy we put ourselves in. This is the cover. I just think it's beautiful. It's very 60s. It's reminiscent of, say, Twiggy. But if you have a look at this thing, and look, you guys might not be into fashion, but it's a beautiful woman.
Yep.
She happens to be blonde, big blue eyes.
Yep.
This is what we used to uphold as beautiful in the 60s.
Yeah.
We haven't seen fashion really embrace beauty for a while.
Yeah.
It has been ugly, beige, neutral, androgynous. And look, it's not a massive shift. It's not seismic.
Sure.
It's more so that this wouldn't have run 2 years ago.
But it is feminine. And
Very feminine.
That in itself is a very big shift. I will say, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I just find these models interchangeable. Like you showed me the picture of Sydney Sweeney the other week, the three that do shopping with. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Yeah. This is, was it?
Abby Lee, her name is.
Abby Lee, okay, interchangeable. And to bring up a tragic situation, the Ukrainian model that just got stabbed.
Yeah.
Fits the exact same
Yeah.
mold. Now, pretty, yes, but I just find it unremarkable. So when I said to you the other day, not my type, and people were kind of like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Maybe
I
maybe
get
I've
that.
spent long enough in the industry. I've been in the film industry long enough. I've worked with a lot of actresses, all the rest of it. Lots of models, all the rest of it.
Well, what you're actually starting to touch on now is the homogenization of beauty. And that's been sort of happening since the 90s, or probably you could say earlier than that, because trends come and go, but more so now more than ever, we look at ourselves we look at our reflections
Yep.
over 100 times a day, particularly women.
Yep.
And not just because we're vain, more so Zoom, FaceTime.
It is everywhere. Mirrors are everywhere.
Yeah,
now.
and you're just forced to sort of see yourself more often.
Yeah.
And there's a self-consciousness to it. And of course, as we know, the more beautiful you are, the better life treats you.
Yep.
So now what you've got is people seeing a version of, say, Kim Kardashian, that's the biggest one, and going, well, she's gotten fame. I need to look more like that.
Yeah.
And you'll see, and like there's a timeline. And if I had more time to do this, I'd love to literally get all these photos and put them all in like a, chronological order. And you can see like this morphing of faces across women, young women, and they're all trying to emulate this, what they call Instagram face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is that the duck lips?
yeah, it's like, hang on, I'll show you. So Instagram face it's literally looks like Kim Kardashian, but she's, like they all look the same. So I did a video on it. Hang on. Where is it? I'll just fast forward to that bit. It's just, I find it fascinating. What is this, sociology, culture?
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
I won't play it.
don't know.
Can I fast forward on this? I don't want to play the whole thing. I'll let it play for a second. I'll show you some other photos, but hang on. Blah, blah, blah. Get onto it, mate.
Yeah, I don't want you to play the whole thing either.
No, I'm talking about,
Man, she can crap on.
yeah, this bitch.
Tell you what, I just.
It gets to the Instagram face in a second.
So this you talked about those jaw strengthening
Face shaping shit.
Yeah, yeah. That is just
infused
weird.
with collagen. Like how intellectually high cheekbones, pillow lips, and that glass-like skin. This look has been popularized over the past decade of reality TV and then mass-produced by injectables, fillers, surgery, and of course, face. So they all look the same.
You know what strikes me is that, and you're literally doing a master's on this. Drink, everybody. Is the AI and beauty standards, and the fact that AI has now learned that that's the look, and has now gotten very good at emulating that, replicating that, and so now, in order for you to be sure that someone's not AI, you actually need to find someone that doesn't look. Like that at all. Someone who has a demonstrably different facial structure.
Over the last 20 to 30 years, we have been removing those genetic markers that show our ethnicity or even those things that come down through our lineage. Like you think about, people who have big or broader noses, squarer jaws and whatnot. So now that everyone's shaving their jaws down, changing their noses and whatnot, you still have it in your DNA. But it's no longer visible. And so what you have now is AI is combing through billions of images where people have either done it in the real world or done it digitally.
Yeah.
And so now AI doesn't know what those genetic markers are. It doesn't know how to do it.
Did you ever come across, have we mentioned this on the podcast? I don't think we have. There was a lawsuit where a very wealthy Chinese billionaire sued his wife.
I think you've mentioned this to me.
Because he married her. She was very, very beautiful. And then when they had children, and honestly, no offense, they were mingers. They were not good.
Very unattractive
They
children.
were very out of proportion facial structures. And he found out that she'd had enormous amounts of plastic surgery, and he sued her basically for false advertising. Now, I don't remember the outcome of the court case, but
I feel like that's a valid claim.
Well,
because it's kind of catfishing. I mean...
Thing is, did she sell him the idea that his children would be beautiful, or did she sell him the idea that she would be beautiful, which presumably she was in his opinion? He didn't sue her because she became ugly. He sued her because she had ugly kids.
What I find so interesting about that is the moral dilemma that presents. Is beauty more valuable than intellect and personality? And I would argue that for some people... Yeah.
Oh, for some people it is, yes. I would suggest that those people are setting themselves up for a pretty sad future because beauty is fleeting, and that's just how it is. There's nothing we
Well,
can
it's
do about
interesting
that.
you say that because I've discovered this thing and I've signed up for it out of interest because obviously this is what I'm researching. So this stuff just gets targeted at me. And I was saying to G the other day, I'm like, I'm getting so influenced because obviously my computer and my phone, they just see this all day, every day. So like, Fido, more ads. And so there's this thing called Quoves, and they had a really good a YouTube channel. And I was watching a lot of their stuff and I was like, wow, this is like really well put together. Who's paying for this production? And then I realized what it was is like, I don't know what you would call this, like a finishing school for beauty, where you submit your proportions, your face, sans makeup, anything like that, hair back.
Yeah.
And they analyze your facial structure and they show you non-surgical things that you can do to improve your attractiveness. And that might be
paper bag, light behind you.
little things like it could be the shape of your eyebrows. It could be the colors that you wear. It could be your haircut. And then it progresses on like things that you could do with fillers and injectables and whatever. I was like, fascinating. People are paying to learn how to be more attractive. And it's all done mostly through AI.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay. So I haven't submitted my stuff yet, but I'm just so curious.
Yeah. But that's, again, you opened this segment well, this continuum of, well, it's perfectly acceptable to choose the color of dress that you wear or the cut and whether it's an A-line or a this or a that based on what flatters your body the most. Do we draw the line then at getting recommendations around makeup?
Well, now you've got...
And then if we allow that, do we draw the line at just plumping the lips a little bit?
Yeah.
And if we allow that, well, what about plumping other things a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, where is that line?
And interestingly, you have this split between feminists and modern feminists and the older feminists and then younger women and older women because, as they say, youth is wasted on the young.
Yes.
So a lot of these young girls are going and getting preventatives because that's how it's sold to them, right? A lot of this is just consumerist behavior.
Yeah.
So 19 to 20-year-olds are going and getting Botox where people who are in their 40s who are trying it for the first time are like, just wait, man, just wait.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then you've got people who are like, I don't wear makeup. I don't need any of that. So it's a purity thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think it's purely up to the individual. But my supervisor said, pick one.
Yeah.
Have an opinion.
Like pick a side.
Yeah, it's like have an opinion. So
Amish. Just go with the Amish. They've been right about everything else.
No, I've taken the libertarian stance.
Which is?
Do whatever you want so long as you don't expect me to adhere to it. I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't fire people up. Like if you want to start an argument, if you want to start a fight.
I think I have an issue with people who attack. Okay, I'll give you an example. You know how everyone's talking about the GLP-1s, Ozempic, semaglutide.
I didn't know that they were called GLP-1s, but I have heard of Ozempic, yes.
Yeah, so it's GLP-1s is basically what it does to your hormones, I believe. This is above my pay grade. I'm clearly not this is not medical advice. So it was interesting because Serena Williams came out as a spokesperson for a brand. I think it's called Roe. Have you seen this?
No.
This is a really interesting discussion. So you haven't even given us any good news. You want to give us your good news quickly?
I've been racking my brain to try and think of it. It's been a pretty flat week, if I'm honest.
Oh.
My good news is that I got through that week. Some good news. So I had a string of visitors on Thursday and Friday, which was lovely and created its own problems and challenges that I'm still working my way through at the moment because I don't have spare time in my life. But you have to make those choices and say, well, actually, I'm going to decide to have spare time in my life for friends because if I don't, if I keep saying, oh, work's more important, I can't take time off work, it'll impact my release schedule and everything else, well, then you end up very sad and lonely. So I guess my good news would be I had a very, very busy and big week because I have people that love me. And when they come through Albury, they drop by and they say hi. And then I got to say, Father's Day was pretty special. So in the morning, I got the obligatory card that said, had the badge, World's Best Dad, and the little ribbon thing coming down from the badge. That was nice.
That's cute.
And I decided, I'm going to wear this to church. And if I come across another dad who's also wearing a World's Best Dad anything, well, obviously there's going to be trouble, right? Because two go in, one comes out, right? We can't both claim that title. Thankfully, no one else was wearing it. But then on Father's Day, what they normally do is they get a bunch of fathers up and they make us all do a push-up competition, which I think is unspeakably cruel. This year, thankfully, they had a more clever solution. They brought up a bunch of tables on there, and there were 10. They were covered in tablecloths, so you couldn't tell what it was, but there were 10 distinct lumps, and we could see something was there. I'm thinking eating competition. I'm thinking, like, what's this? Where's this going? I got bullied into being one of the 10 fathers that went up. My wife bullied me. Edwina, you know who you are. They unveil it. It turns out it was a kit building competition. These were like plastic little tractors with the big oversized plastic screws and their screwdriver. It's like my first screwdriver set kind of stuff. Duplo with screwdrivers. And I'm looking at it going, I've been training for this.
I've been waiting for
I've
this
been
moment my whole
training for
life.
this. So Winston and I, last year, we did a Bugatti Lego car, one of the big ones. I bought for myself and we did. And once I reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, my reward to myself was to do with Winston, my son, a metal V8 engine kit where you're putting the whole thing together. And it's just run off an electric motor. It doesn't actually run as an engine, as a petrol burning engine, but it rotates and functions. It's got all the valves and the chains and the timing and the bottom end, and it's all there. And so we had just built that. And then I'm looking at this like 9-piece Duplo plastic thing. I'm like, I reckon I got this. I reckon I can do this. So anyway, they say go. We all start screwing and everything. And then the person next to me claims the win. I'm like, what? I've got one screw left. I'm like, oh, damn it. And then the person sort of judging it comes over and goes, what are these bits left over? Classic dad. It's like, oh, there's bits left over. They don't matter.
It's like the IKEA thing. Chuck it in the bin.
Spare
It's all
parts,
wonky.
whatever. So he hadn't put the whole thing together. So I tightened up that last screw and claimed the win. So I feel like I walked in there with a World's Best Dad badge claim, and I walked out there with it vindicated. World's Best Dad. Yeah. So it was fun.
You're welcome. Well done.
Yeah. Well, I'm welcome.
You're welcome. That you won. You're just giving you accolades.
I think congratulations is
Well,
more.
that too. But
Yeah.
I'm trying not to give you compliments.
But thanks.
This is going to be really weird, guys. So I am making some bread and it's time sensitive. So I have to stretch the dough and I have to do it on the show.
You can take the girl out of the kitchen, but you can't take the kitchen out of the girl.
I just want to say I don't do this. I don't normally stretch my sourdough with tongs, but because I'm doing this on air and I don't want to get up and wash my hands every 10 minutes.
Normally it's with her grubby hands right after she's wiped snot out of her nose. That's how she normally does the sourdough. That's where the flavour comes from. Those aren't olives.
It's all the dirt under my fingernails.
Those
that comes
aren't
out on
olives
the
in the
dough.
loaf. I'm just saying, for those of you that visit Carly, those are not olives, no matter what she may say.
No, it's just me cleaning out all this crap under my fingernails. So
All right.
this is what you got to do. You got to stretch your dough and then you put it back away. And
So is this part of like that 36-hour thing? Like when you buy a sourdough, they say, 36 hours. Is it kind of
no,
just
that's
sitting in
how
a
long
bowl?
you let it sit in the fridge. So what you got to do, the first 4 hours, every 30 minutes, you got to stretch it. So you don't need sourdough. You pull it so that the I imagine it's the gluten starts to do its job, and doing these.
Okay.
All I know is if you don't stretch it, you get like a bit of a rockier loaf, and it's not very nice.
Yeah, okay.
So,
All right.
and then I have learned. I now make it in the morning, so it sits all day and all night, and then it gets baked. So now it sits in the fridge for like, I don't know, 20 hours, and it tastes way better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the longer you leave it, I think it's up to like 36, 48 hours.
Yeah.
It tastes
Yeah.
great. Anyway,
Probably 2-month sourdough probably wouldn't quite taste as good, you know?
there's a real art to it. I'm no like sourdough expert at all. I've just learnt my little way of doing it. But some people get really sciencey about it, which who could be bothered?
Yeah. No, well, but if it gives results though,
Well,
like
that's
it's
true.
just sciencey to you is just like, well, they're just following the data. They're just doing the thing that the data says to do. So
I've read some different ways of doing it, and I say find a way that works for you that you can replicate easily.
did you ever watch the movie Rush?
Has that got the comedians in it? Is that the one?
No. So this is.
I'm thinking Rush Hour. Sorry.
No. That's So this is Niki Lauda versus James
Oh
Hunt.
yes. We watched that not so long ago.
So not the F1 movie, but Rush.
We watched that
about
literally.
Niki Lauda. I thought that was really well done, and it is actually kind of a wonderful exploration of that Niki Lauda, methodical, intelligent, go by the numbers, just put the work in kind of approach, and the James Hunt, fly by the seat of your pants, playboy, show up and drive kind of approach, which ultimately Niki Lauda was the far more successful driver, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
But James Hunt had his moment in the sun, and he got his championship.
There's definitely a role for both to a degree, because you do need someone who has blind ambition, who's a little bit fearless, but then behind that person, you can't, that's a team, I believe.
Well, they were rivals in this particular case. But yes, oftentimes when you read about visionaries and people that started companies or invented technologies, Walt Disney, as a prime example, well, I think it was his brother, but it was a very close business partner anyway, was the one with the purse strings. And Disney would have been a nobody. He would have gone nowhere without that person managing the money, because he would have bankrupted himself in no time and no one would have ever heard of him.
100%. I think all entrepreneurs can relate to that. Like you have the ideas and the ambition, but you do need someone to give you a little bit of grounding to keep you centered so that you don't make disastrous choices.
And to actually look at the data a little bit.
Yeah. So there's a role for both. But anyway, speaking of data.
All right.
Because there's so much to get through. And I think this is actually
That's why we spent the first 35 minutes talking about beauty standards and sourdough.
Well, this is relevant to the conversation.
Okay.
So this is Serena Williams, obviously GOAT tennis player, the world's best, indisputable.
Sorry, this is not an ad for Pfizer. I just want to be clear about that.
No, it's not an ad for Pfizer.
Because it looks like it could be an ad for Pfizer.
So, no, this is the GLP-1 treatment. So the company that she's partnered with is called Roe, I think.
Right.
Anyway, so this has caused absolute chaos online.
So, sorry, one of the world's greatest athletes is advertising a radical weight loss drug.
Yes.
Why?
Okay, so, and this is a worthwhile discussion because I see both sides. I see people going, this is a terrible example to young people. I understand all that. And then I see the other side, which is how does a world-class professional tennis player, champion, who has trained her whole life, 8-9 hours a day, fitness, had all the coaches, has all the money, and she still struggled with weight gain and not being able to get it off? I think that opens up a bigger conversation. It's not, she's clearly not a lazy person.
No.
It's clearly not, she doesn't know. She clearly does know how to train, how to eat.
But I mean, there is an element of body type. She has a stockier body type.
Does.
I mean, she looks fantastic in this
and
particular
picture.
picture.
And she also had two, I think she's had two children.
At least two, yeah. You know, and that's just a body type thing. You know, she's not built like Martina Hingis was built, who also wasn't built like Amelie Mauresmo was built, who wasn't built like Venus Williams was built. Like, this is just a difference in body type.
Yeah.
But okay, she's advertising weight loss drugs.
And I find this really interesting because people are like, oh, you know, she's took the easy way out. I'm like, I actually don't think she did. The easy way out is to her just.
So she's saying she's using it.
Yes.
She's not just. This isn't just a
she's
brand
saying
deal.
that's how she's used it. She's lost 31 pounds, which what's that? 15 kilos.
Kilo, yeah. Well, 14. Yeah.
So I actually think that speaks to modern life. So, and I know there's going to be people screaming in the comments at me. Have a think about this. We're busier than we've ever been. The average person, and unfortunately, a lot of this affects women. Not that men aren't included, but think about the average person.
We get away with more.
Yeah, you do get away with
it. No argument there.
If I put on 5 kilos, you watch people in the comments going, oh, God, she's fat. I get called fat now.
Yeah.
You know, and people, like, there is a definite difference in the scrutiny that women face, particularly in the public eye. Anyway, so she's lost her weight. She could have done it the other way, right? And then everyone would be like, oh, she looks sick. Because this online commentary, it doesn't matter what you do.
It doesn't matter what you do.
They don't care, right? But I look at this and go, someone who has the assets of an empire, she has untold wealth, she has all the experts, and she still struggled with it. Then how does the average person deal with it?
Yeah.
You think about the average person who doesn't have the bank account that Serena Williams has to drop their kids off to school, pick their kids up, raise the kids, work the job, the partner's working the job, then they've got to run the household. Like, I understand how this happens. I'm not excusing it. And then people say, oh, well, you have to have a better diet, you've got to exercise more. I understand that. But there does come a point where stress, cortisol levels, just general fatigue.
But also time.
Yeah.
So, and in Serena's case, I could definitely believe that there is an element of time issue here. She does run a business empire. She is a global celebrity. She is in demand for brand deals and all kinds of things, you know, charities and all kinds of stuff all of the time. And so therefore you end up not just not cooking your own meals. She can afford to pay someone else to cook her whatever she wants to eat. But you're cramming meals in on the road in between other things. You can't get a regimen or a regime of exercise of daily. You had gym in your own house, sure, but you're never in your own house. And I know on the road I eat more and I exercise less, and the travel itself is fatiguing. So even if I'm staying at a hotel that has a gym, the odds of me actually going down, I might go for a swim. I might go to a pool and do a few laps in a pool. But I'm not going to a gym in a hotel, even if I actually have the time, because of just the fatigue of the road. And in her case, that would be even more so. So I can definitely see how it happens. I can understand If there is a supplemented drug, I don't know what it does to you. This isn't medical advice, all that blah, 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 disclaimers all the way around. I can understand how someone gets to that point. I find it a little confronting, a little odd.
And that's what I mean. I think it's a great conversation because, look, in Australia, we can't advertise pharmaceutical goods like that. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think America and New Zealand are the only two countries that allow advertising like that.
Something like that. The libertarian in me says, well, it should be allowed. But yeah, you go to America and you watch these ads and it's 15 seconds of happy families, and then the last 10 seconds is all the side effects and how you're going to be bleeding out your anus. Yeah. You just go, oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sounds great. I remember this was years ago. I was in America and can't remember what time, but it was an ad for Oxycontin. I was like, I've never in my life seen this before. And this is before, I think, you talk about the opioid epidemic. But anyway, so I find it interesting. And I flip-flop on this a lot because I know a lot of people who have put on a lot of weight and are struggling. And, I was the gym bunny. Yeah. So I used to sit there and go, just eat better.
Judgy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was. In my 20s I was too. Yeah. Now I'm a little bit older and my hormones are changing. I'm like,
Yeah, not quite as easy. But also, is there a degree to which we say, well, okay, you've put on an additional, whatever it was, 15 kilos, 14 kilos, something like that. Is it just a case that we care about that too much?
Well, this is the thing. Yes and no, because we had the body positivity movement, and then look what happened with that needle. We went test holiday,
way too far. I mean, we're not. 14 kilos isn't that. I mean, it's not great. I've got probably 20, 25 kilos more than what I should on me. It's not great, but it's also not end of the world stuff. Yeah. I'm not dying every time I walk up a set
I think
of stairs.
It purely depends because when you look at the research, like I'm looking into something called digital lateral surveillance, which is basically women surveilling each other and pushing each other around on the hierarchy
and
based on...
Women are way harsher than men are. They complain about men and beauty standards. Women, you girls are absolutely savage.
Well, this is what's so interesting because obviously I'm at a university, so there's a lot of woke ideology that's infiltrated. Sure. And one of my supervisors is what I would say fairly progressive. And she kept pushing me. She's like, and what's the next point, Carly? Where does this come from? I'm like, well, women. And she's like, no, it's the patriarchy. I was like, no. Data shows, no, it's women doing this. Women are judging other women. Anyway, we got into like a healthy discussion. Yeah. And so that pushed me down there. And like, obviously I've talked about tattle life and things like that before. The number one insult to a woman is your weight. Yeah. You're fat.
Yeah.
Oh, look, she's put on some weight. Oh, look, she's fat. If you go and look at your comments when people talk about me, I'm either dumb or fat. That's it.
And I'm just, it's mostly my teeth. I'm going to be doing an experiment at some point in the next couple of years. I don't know when, but at some point, hopefully I will have made enough money that finally at 40 whatever years of age, I'll get my teeth fixed. Yeah. And the hope is that it'll actually improve my breathing at night and I might not have to use the CPAP machine and all the rest of it. That's the hope. I couldn't care about the cosmetics, but in the process, the cosmetics will get fixed. And I'm going to be so interested to see what my trolls move to next. Right. And will it be like, Richard Hammond from Top Gear, how they banged on about how he had his teeth whitened. I didn't have my teeth whitened. Yeah. It was this whole thing for a couple of seasons. It was very funny. They love my trolls at the moment will attack me for having crooked teeth. Yeah. And I'm like, weird flex. I came from a poor family. Yeah. That's a weird thing to, my parents didn't have the money that your parents had to get veneers or braces or whatever. Yeah. That's a weird way to criticize somebody, but okay, sure, whatever. But then the minute I get them fixed, what's it going to be? Oh, he's so vain, or what? You just
that's what I mean. You can't win.
And that's why my whole mantra with that has become: once someone becomes an unwinnable game, you got to stop playing. Right? You got to cease to care about the opinions of people that refuse to that are going to hate you no matter what. In the case of women and weight, absolutely, and you see this all the time. Where someone's weight, a celebrity, someone who's in the public eye, their weight will change by a few kilograms, and they go from she's fat to she looks like she's got bulimia. She's
dying. Yeah.
And just like, whoa, guys, like the Goldilocks zone is apparently paper thin. Yeah. But of course, a lot of that's driven.
Well, actually, the Goldilocks zone is into like you cannot point to it because it shifts so frequently. Yeah.
But also, a lot of that is just driven by the desire, and this has been true of tabloids since long before the internet, but it's amplified on the internet, the desire for clicks, the desire for eyeballs. Hey, she looks great is very rarely a click-getting headline. It might be about, look at how much weight this person's lost, or someone who was previously pilloried for being actually ugly. Oh, wow, she looks amazing now. But that's a very rare thing. The headline is almost always the criticism.
Yes.
And for some reason, as humans, we're wired to want to engage with that a lot more. That's why clickbait works.
Yeah, well, that's our genetics basically helping us with fight or flight. You had to always be judgmental and assessing your surroundings and looking at people. Yeah.
And that's the tension with a lot of what I do, and increasingly with what you do. That's why so many people go down the fear-mongering path or they go down the clickbaiting path, is because it actually works. If you're just going off the metrics, this is back to the metrics thing. If you're just going off the metrics, well, fear-mongering is the right strategic choice for you as a business. It'll make you way more money, but you lose your soul in the process.
Yes.
And I think there's an element of that in these beauty standards and so forth. You can sit there chasing the approval of the crowd and you'll lose your soul.
And you see that, I mean, not to keep talking about beauty standards, but you see that when people go beyond and it becomes like the fetishism and they get the really destructive surgeries and things like that. I'm never looking at the extremes. And what I'm so interested in is the minutiae. Right. I am so focused on the suburban person, the average punter, because, that's the vast majority of us.
Sure.
And that's where a lot of this toxicity, I guess if you want to call it that, starts to grow. And what I've found in this whole digital lateral surveillance stuff and looking at it is women need beauty standards because it helps them put themselves either on a pedestal or help them level up.
Climb a hierarchy, as they would see.
Because without it, they've got nothing, right? So you think about the average person.
That's sorry, can we pause on that?
Yeah.
Do you actually mean that literally, or is that a figure of speech? Without a beauty hierarchy, in your view, women have nothing?
I would say, yes, I mean that literally in the sense that is predominantly what women leverage to get ahead. All the feminists are going to come for me for this.
This is going to be great.
I consider myself...
Talk about clickbait.
Yeah, no, think about it. Think about it. You could be one of the smartest women in the world. You could be someone that's insanely talented. But if she's pretty on top of it, that is the determining factor of her success. You look at, was it Suzanne Boyle? Remember that?
Susan Boyle, yeah.
Susan Boyle. And everyone was calling her, I can't even remember some of the horrible things, basically she...
Stunning voice.
Incredible voice.
And great story, because early on, this hadn't really happened before, where there was the discovery of the ugly duckling, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, people will come at me for making that statement. I'm like, I'm standing by that. Go and look at the literature around this. Women have lots of beautiful things to add to the conversation. Sure. It doesn't add the value. The beauty adds the value. And other women need that to help themselves push themselves either further along in the social hierarchy. Have a look at someone who starts to gain popularity. Maybe they've gotten a smaller audience. And then all of a sudden you can see there's a tipping point. Yeah. They've made money and then they get the veneers, they get the makeover. Margot Robbie's done it. Jennifer Lopez has done it multiple times. Kris Jenner's just got a new facelift. All women do it. And that's my thing. So we sit here and criticize people for doing it, but yet we push them to do it, because if they didn't, we'd be, look at Khloe Kardashian. I'm going to go down my whole thesis, but I don't want to bore everyone. Khloe Kardashian was called the ugly sister, right? And her parental, her father is in dispute. A lot of people think it's O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, right.
Because Kris Jenner is a notorious cheater,
sure,
right? And when you look at all the women lined up, Khloe looks different. So she's been called the ugly sister her entire life. Yeah, imagine what that does to you psychologically. Yeah. So now she does have the financial means to fix it. And yet Khloe has done insane things to her body. She's very skinny now. She's got the Brazilian butt lift. She's got the boob lift. She's got all sorts of tweaks, they call them. They're not full surgeries, but tweaks. And now looks fairly uncanny to her other sisters.
Yeah, right. So she's been chasing that.
She's been chasing that. And we can say, oh, that's celebrity. Well, I would say that's the culture she was brought up in, as well as, the paternity challenge and things like that. So we sit here and criticize women and saying, oh, well, no, you just have to be talented. Then why, for the last 30 years, particularly, think of Princess Diana.
Sure.
The way the tabloids hounded her.
But the British tabloids are a particularly savage mob, and when it comes to royalty especially.
100%. Yeah. So, we can sit here and say, no, women have more. But at the end of the day, when you look at the way society has rolled women out, beauty always wins.
Okay, but when you say society, in the context of this conversation, this is why I kind of asked you to elaborate further. you're not saying society as a shorthand for the patriarchy, which is how feminists use it. Society has placed these standards. They mean men.
Yeah.
Men have placed
women.
You're saying that women have placed these standards.
100%. So men may have been in control of the advertising world.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
That's true.
But you think about, like, because everyone loves to look at the 50s.
Yep.
And they say, oh, well, you know, that was a patriarchal time. The women had to be the housewives. What did women use as leverage against the other housewives?
Well, they had their looks, along with, you know, the home, the keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep.
They
Keeping
got
up
the
with the
washing
Joneses,
machine
correct.
before they did all that.
That's exactly it. Keeping up with the Joneses. It all boils down to that. We need leverage. That's what women use to get ahead. That's what women use to stand out. Most of it, I'm not saying all, I'm not talking in exclusives, most of it stems from beauty. Now, you look at the progressives right now. I would call that an uglification.
Yeah, without question.
Right? But now it's a how ugly can you get?
Yeah.
Now
It's still
you
a
can,
hierarchy. They've just flipped the
you
hierarchy.
cut your breasts off.
Yeah.
You cut your fringe up to here, to your
you
hairline.
deliberately make yourself as unfeminine as possible.
Correct. You start to grow underarm hair.
Yeah.
You start to take hormones, so you start to get, you know, beards and things like that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. How far can you go?
It's just a different hierarchy.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I just find that when people go, oh, it's the patriarchy, I'm like, that's such a superficial throwaway statement. Go deeper.
All right. Well, we are now 51 minutes in. We probably should actually get to the first of the topics that we had planned.
Do you want to talk about what's going on with RFK? Are you across this?
So I'm across this up until about 2 weeks ago, but a lot more has happened since then.
I'll read you the things that I want to talk through, and then we'll go through there. All right. So because there's so much, and I'm trying to touch on everything.
He's turned into a machine. I said, can I just say, I told you so. I said when he was appointed that his appointment as head of the HHS would be bigger than Doge.
Yeah.
And I think that is proving to be exactly the truth.
So RFK has come out basically saying there's no randomized trial between fully vaccinated and never vaccinated kids, and there has been a lot of the data that was there has been destroyed.
Yep.
And I want to get this right, but he said that there was, and it's really hard to find this because all the media is saying the opposite to what RFK has said.
And the pejoratives they're coming out with indicates that they're losing.
Yeah. So, and even now with ChatGPT, I tried to find it and it's given me factcheck.org, Time, Forbes, and Voices for Vaccines.
Yeah.
So nothing from the actual American government. So RFK has been in Senate hearings for the whole week. And then Rand Paul came out saying something today saying that we are dropping a new revelation on Fauci tomorrow. Stay tuned.
So I did a video a little while ago when the White House, which is its own distinct organization, right? It's separate from government, the White House. So this is Donald J. Trump at a more personal level.
Yeah.
Dropped a website all about Fauci.
Yes.
And
yes.
it had a whole bunch of revelations about him, some of which was new, some of which, a lot of it was not. And I said at the time, watch this space because Donald Trump is setting the scene here. If this website and what's on this website was the long and short of what he's got planned, then this website makes no sense. It does not make sense. As a piece of communication, it would have been a White House statement, a press release, like they've got thousands already on the website just from this most recent term of Donald J. Trump. That's all it would have been. That told me, beg your pardon, that told me that there was something much bigger coming.
Yep.
Now, excuse me, the water has got to me.
It's my mushroom water again.
Now, to be fair, it's taken longer for the next step to happen than what I expected. I expected things to happen much more quickly, but I think what we're watching now is an unfolding of that. Now, Trump published on Truth Social something that is a significant departure from his previous position. Have you got that?
What happened yesterday?
So he's basically posted and said there aren't any good vaccines.
Yeah.
Which is an extraordinary departure from his previous position. He has previously defended warp speed. He's previously defended the mRNA jabs. He's previously defended vaccines. And he's come out now, and it was Donald J. Trump on Truth Social has basically come out and pretty much jeopardized the entire pharmaceutical industry because their bottom line is built 90% on the childhood vaccination schedule.
That video, because he posted on Truth Social, this one here, they're all poison.
Yes.
Show them the thimerosal bomb, which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it, and it's a very fine powder.
This is thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic, has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. It specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff.
And it's a vaccine.
And this is what's in the vaccine. It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires, it's a little outdated now, in 2007. Here's the thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed
You
to
have last year's influenza? Understand that thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a thimerosal free factory or you have to not have one. They add thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces thimerosal. It's going to need thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped.
This is the influenza vaccine from Adventist Pasteur, their flu zone. Thimerosal, 25 micrograms of mercury per dose.
But I'd like to point out that a lot of people didn't know, and I'm one of them. I've given 2,000 Rogam shots. I've been in vaccines for 35 years. I didn't know that Rogam had thimerosal in it. So I think a lot of the doctors were unaware. They were unaware that even the word thimerosal meant mercury.
So pause that there. So mercury is being systematically eliminated out of the supply chain now. And in fact, I believe, and I'd have to go back and look at this specifically, but I believe most vaccines are now completely mercury free. So I think that particular information might be a little bit out of date, but I'm very open to being corrected on that. If that proves not to be the case, I might be getting things mixed up because I haven't gone back and researched that explicitly. But just as recently as 2 weeks ago, RFK Jr. was in a series of hearings, particularly looking at vaccine injuries and these sorts of things. And what he was chasing, the particular bone that he was chasing at that point in time, was the remuneration of doctors and the fact that doctors were getting paid typically $600 per patient that they had that was fully vaccinated. But they would only get that bonus payment if a certain percentage of their practice was vaccinated or higher.
Yeah.
And so what this creates, and in the case of individual practices, there were individual practices getting over $1 million a year in these bonuses, which they cannot get if their overall percentage of fully vaccinated patients drops below a certain point.
Yeah.
So they were actually, and RFK Jr. was getting testimony from people who were verifying that there are doctors that have fired patients because they refused to get vaccinated and they were jeopardizing their ratio, jeopardizing that threshold, and therefore jeopardizing those up to $600 US per patient payments that they were receiving.
Yeah.
The entire industry is basically a massive criminal cartel. They don't have the data they claim to have to prove the safety or the efficacy. They are continuously doing things they say they're not doing with their products. I mean, look at the revelation recently. I can finally say it without fear of being censored. DNA plasmid contamination in mRNA jabs is way above anything resembling accepted levels. I mean, way above anything resembling accepted levels. That was a conspiracy theory until a couple of months ago. And now, as of, I think it's only 2 weeks ago, an authoritative source has finally come out and confirmed what's been known for some time. There's a lawsuit against the Australian government based on exactly that. There's so many things, the entire industry, but then also their sales model and their remuneration model was basically a criminal cartel. It was not a Ponzi scheme. It was a standover scheme where basically they were using money, dangling money in front of people and saying, you will bully your clients into taking our products or else.
I don't know enough about this stuff. All I know is it smells rotten as hell. And I hate how the media has made a mission out of it to censor any dissent or any discussion.
Yeah.
And I find it disgusting that even in the Senate hearings, and I mean, I hate watching politicians talk to each other anyway, but watching them just come at him when, you know, I think RFK has genuine good intentions and you can watch the politicians going. It's no different to what happened with thalidomide and Gardasil and a whole host of other things that have been detrimental to the health of humans. And then the politicians and the doctors and all the organizations and all the levels of bureaucracy have silenced and tried to cover it up. And it's the same with oxycodone. Like, this is so disgusting. And I get on my high horse because I just want to see truth prevail. But I know this is so much deeper than that.
I tell you what, I actually want to go and rewatch Fight Club.
Yeah?
Because I reckon that guy who flew around the world, I think his particular job, he was a fictional character, obviously, but this role exists. I think his one, it's been a long time since I watched the movie, was in relation to car crashes. And he would fly around the world basically figuring out how much would it cost for the car manufacturer to do a recall and fix this issue, this safety issue on the cars, versus how much will it cost the company to give payouts to the families of people that get killed in the car crashes.
Yeah.
And just weighing up which one's cheaper. And in pharmaceutical companies, we know as a matter of historical record, not as a matter of a fictional character, that when they discover problems with their products, which is basically all of them, they will go and do an analysis and say, well, what's cheaper for us to discontinue this product and stop making that money and to have to admit that this is a bad product, or some settlements with some people, some shut up money.
Yeah.
Right. With the handful of people that manage to get past all of the regulatory safeguards that are in place, protecting the manufacturers, not the consumers, the indemnities that they have from governments, etc. The handful of people that are going to navigate their way through all of that and actually get a payout from a pharmaceutical company are vanishingly few. And the cost of recompensing them compared to the cost of losing a lucrative product off the market, they're literally knowingly, and we know that this happens, pharmaceutical companies are knowingly choosing to allow people to use a product that they know will kill a significant number of people because it's too profitable for them to want to shut it down. And it's one of the few industries that we can actually say with certainty that those conversations go on, and at the most senior levels of these companies, these people make the decision to continue providing a deadly product. These also, and if anyone thinks I'm talking out my ass here, these companies, if you look at the companies that have had the largest criminal penalties, so companies can't be put in prison in the way that a person can. So a criminal penalty comes in the form of a fine and a criminal conviction, a criminal record for the company itself. The big pharmaceutical companies are the biggest criminals in history, based on the value of the fines they've had to pay, the number of convictions against them, and the number and the size of the fines that they've had to pay. But typically, no individual ever gets punished. Yeah. It's a corporate punishment. And those fines, although they are record-breaking and some of the biggest in the world, they actually pale into comparison. They pale into insignificance in comparison to the profits that these companies make. And so from their point of view, it's just the cost of doing business. In the same way as delivery drivers in New York view parking fines as just part of the cost of doing business. They double park to get the deliveries done, and they'll get 2 or 3 fines a week for having done that. It's just the cost of doing business. These pharmaceutical companies, we kill people with faulty products. We get criminal convictions a couple of times a decade, costs us billions of dollars, but it's just the cost of doing business. Yeah. They approach it the same way. And until there's individual liability and criminal liability down to that individual level, the board of directors, the C-suite, the executives, unfortunately, that's not likely to change. Yeah, fun, isn't it? I will say this. What RFK is doing is world-changing. He is withstanding some of the most intense pressure and blowback that you could possibly imagine. I'm a little bit surprised no one's had a go at assassinating him yet.
Well, I dare say someone's given it a crack.
Well, possibly. And I'm not aware of any serious attempts at him recently. But he is systematically dismantling the largest criminal cartel in human history. If you think the South American and the Colombian drug cartels were bad, they were nothing compared to what RFK Jr. is dismantling right now. It
feels like across the board, this is a sweeping statement, but across the board, all of these massive chains of command and all of this corruption is slowly starting to boil out. And it's all happening so quickly. And to the average Joe citizen who's not really paying attention, this must be incredibly jarring and impossible to sort of...
confusing. And there's that saying, it's much easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them that they've been fooled.
Yeah.
And so people have grown up in a world believing they understood how it worked. And now they're discovering all these different areas and ways in which it didn't work the way they thought. And people are having a hard time accepting
Yeah.
this change in reality. But in Donald Trump's defense, and I've said some very critical things of Donald Trump in the past, but I've also said some very, very good things because I think he's done some good things. I think this meets the definition of draining the swamp.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like what I hoped it would look like. I hoped it would look more like Javier Milei.
Yeah.
I hoped it would look more like that chainsaw just taking out entire departments. And there has been a little bit of that from Doge, but honestly, Doge barely scratched the surface compared to what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But this is a swamp draining.
I think this is a level of corruption that it is so rooted in evil, but it descends so many generations that even as he's pulling out the roots, they're trying so hard to regrow and regenerate. And
that's I think that this is going to make the next US presidential elections particularly important. Every single election, people run around going, "This is the most important election of our lifetimes," and I fall for that too sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would say that the coming presidential election will be viewed by the swamp as almost their last ditch effort to salvage themselves. Because if JD Vance gets in, or Ron DeSantis or RFK Jr. or any of these people get the GOP nomination and they get in and they do 8 years, then that will make 12 years from when Trump started. Let's remember, Trump is still in his first year of his second term. He came in February of this year. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, things are moving fast.
Right, it is so fast. And actually, we're going to touch on that in a video that we've got of Donald Trump for later on in this episode. He talks about that himself. Imagine 12 more years.
Yeah.
These power structures, and I'm using lefty language now, the power structures, the endemic racism of colonial whatever, they will have been so thoroughly dismantled and disempowered by that point in time that it won't be possible for them to coalesce and just go, oh, phew, that's over. If, however, Donald Trump gets replaced by a Hillary Clinton-esque replacement from the Democrat side, or even just a Reno from the Republican side, right? Someone who just wants to go back to establishment Republican thinking. After only 4 years of this, it will still be possible for them to be able to rebuild.
Okay. This is going to be heavy.
Big episode.
I'm really interested to see what happens with the Fauci thing.
Yep.
I'm sick of the nothing burgers.
Yeah.
So I don't know yet. We wait and see. But I'm just going to go through the topics just so we've got a bit of an outline. We've got, obviously, Jacinta Allan and the youth crime response, which I'm just sick of talking about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of am too, and I don't feel like there's been enough of a development at this point compared to Monday. We did our Monday live. If you want to find out what we think, go and watch that.
Yeah, I'm just so angry with it. Yeah,
I released the video the one that I was debating. Do I release this or not? I released it yesterday.
I think you were relatively calm in that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I said a few things fairly strongly, but and courts and police don't like criticism, and I've called them out pretty clearly in that video. So that may well come back to bite me at some point in the future. But honestly, I rewatched it before I released it and went, I don't disagree with anything I've said. I don't think I've gotten carried away.
I think the sentiment from the public is behind you in this. And even if you were to get in trouble in some capacity, or me, like I'm screaming this from the rooftops. Yeah. I think public sentiment has changed. And I would keep bringing up, 3AW, Jackie Felgate, or now Fifi and Fev, who run the morning show on Fox FM, I think it is. And just every day they're talking about it. What's Jacinta Allan doing? Why isn't something happening? And it's so interesting because it's taken so long for these people to finally grow some courage. Yeah. I think this is going to be the thing that sinks the Labor Party, even though they're trying so desperately to scramble. And we talked about it with David Limbrick. What I couldn't say when David was on is like, I do believe there is a level of, what's the word? I want to be careful here. A lack of empathy from the Labor government. Yeah. It's not their kids.
Yeah. And, David has to take a certain view. He has to work with his people day to day. And so I would, like you, I wasn't going to go in there and make him discuss this in detail. But evil exists. And there are people who actually just end up celebrating and loving evil. Yeah. And we see this in lots of different ways. I won't go through them, but we see this around the world where there is a certain worldview that celebrates violence against certain other people, particularly if those people are white or if those people are viewed as oppressors or anything like that. We see this again in the response to the stabbing of that Ukrainian model by a black dude on the subway in the US. where they're treating it extremely differently compared to how they would have treated it had a white guy stabbed a black woman in the exact same manner. And that is a level of evil.
Yeah.
To temper your response to a cold-blooded killing based on the racial identity of the people on either side of it, that is a level of evil. And I think I'm justified in calling it evil. And yes, I do think that, the way I referred to Jacinta Allan is wicked.
Yeah.
And I picked that language up out of the book of Proverbs. Proverbs, I think it was 12 verse 10. The tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. And this crime wave that we're seeing in Victoria and the crimes that we're seeing happen in the US have been enabled by the wickedness of leaders in the name of compassion. Oh, but we can't lock these people. They're kids. We have to let them out on bail, even though they've just committed their 14th violent offence on bail for the 10th time, and they're punching their frequent flyer card. It would be cruel for us to. It's tender mercy. We have to bail them. Well, the tender mercies of the wicked are actually cruel, and that's where we've reached now with that. I don't want to spend too long on that, but I do think that David Limbrick was kinder than I would have been, but I also do understand that in the position that he's in, there is a certain practical necessity there.
Yeah, and I think my greatest weakness is that I am too logical at times, and I understand there's processes with things, but we talked about on Monday the do nothing reflex.
Yeah,
I don't think it's about
the do something.
Do something reflex. Sorry, do something. Yeah. I think it's. When something happens like September 11th, right? Like that's came out of nowhere, no one knew it, right? Do something, right? This isn't a one-off event. This is a escalation of something that has been building.
And that was my point. This isn't, we don't want to fall for the do something reflex, but also the reason why the do something reflex is dangerous is because people do things without thinking. But we've been thinking about this for months and years. We know what to do. We've had the conversation.
The answer
We're
is
just
clear
not
as day.
doing it. Yeah. Now, I wanted to stop talking about trivial things and actually get back to a much more serious topic, which is that I'm fairly sure you need to stretch your sourdough again.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
That's a weird tangent, but it works.
Have you stretched your sourdough lately, Carly?
I will stretch it now. I just got thrown off. This is so not on our thing, but I got an email from a solicitor that says that I was in a car accident on the 16th of December, which I was not. And I've never heard of any of these things. But it's come through a normal channel, and I was just verifying that this is a real age. I'm getting a scam live on air.
Well, yeah, you might be. I was going to say that these sort of things can be scams these days.
Oh, 100%. Because I don't know any of this stuff. I'm like, these scams are getting good. Because at first my heart sunk. I was like, what?
So the ones I've been getting now. I've had 3 of them so far. Are invitations to be a guest on a major podcast.
Oh, yeah?
And they'll do some research. So they'll name who the podcast is, who's on it, what the name of the podcast is, but they'll say who they are. Yeah. And if you Google them or search for them on LinkedIn, that they've got the correct name for the person that does the booking for that podcast.
Yeah.
Right. So they've put some work in.
Yeah.
And it's clearly targeted. So they're finding people like myself who are growing and what have you.
Yeah.
And saying, oh, hey, you've got 100,000. Congratulations. We've got millions of followers and we'll pay you an appearance fee if you'll come onto our podcast.
Well, that's your first red flag because you don't get paid to go on these things.
Oh, it depends. There's a lot that goes on in that world. There's a lot of people pay to get the appearance. And there's others that will pay to have you on, depending on who's bringing the audience and who's kind of wearing the pants in that relationship, so to speak.
I ain't paying to go on no one's podcast.
No, there is a lot of dirty stuff that goes on in that world. Just a little, yeah. Just wiggling that sourdough in front of the camera.
The price we pay for bread.
I mean, I think that's your OnlyFans right there. It's just you just jiggling sourdough on camera. So, they'll do the work. They'll find out whose name they need to attach to it, all the rest of it. And I got the first one, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a scam, but I can't see the mechanism.
Yeah.
How do they profit? Where we are, and I wanted to follow it through until I got to that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so I did, and it was a few emails backwards and forwards. And eventually what it was like, we're going to do a co-live on our Facebook pages So I want to do a live with you, and what we're going to do is we're just going to
Log into the back end.
Yeah, correct.
And steal your
Correct.
audience.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they're going to take over my Facebook page. So once I finally got to the point where I'm like, oh, I understand now what you want from me. At that point, I just let the whole thing go. But I've had 2 more since then.
Huh. Well, actually, I've just finished reading it.
Right.
And you can help me decipher whether this is a scam. So what was it? June last year, July? No, it was just before I met G. So it would have been May last year. It was a while ago.
You had your big one.
I had the car accident.
Yeah.
Right. And it was I told you, it was an Indian woman,
Yep.
unlicensed,
Yep.
unregistered, whatever. Anyway, I think it stems to that, but they've got their date wrong because now I'm reading it. She was uninsured and she was in like a ride share that was
Yeah.
dodgy at best.
Yeah.
And apparently, so my insurance was like, you're fine, you go to whatever, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And the police actually attended
Yeah.
because it was a big accident and we blocked the entire intersection.
Yeah.
And she, from what I understand, she got charged because of reckless driving, or I guess, I don't know what other charges you give them. She wasn't drunk or anything, she just did the wrong thing. And anyway, that's fine and done. But apparently, I don't know anything about this stuff, but apparently it's been escalated because the other insurer or the other company that had the car has not come to the table and isn't complying with a court order. So I need to write an affidavit or do an affidavit.
Wow.
Is that a thing? Am I getting scammed? I don't know enough about this.
I'd love to get some comments from our audience on this, especially if there is anyone who's a solicitor or a lawyer. It sounds within the realms of legitimate possibility to me.
It sounds possible because I know that she was unregistered, uninsured, and she was she'd only been in the country 2 days. And she said, I mean, I don't know anything since that days, but she said that it was a hire car. But it was a piece of crap. It was like a rent-a-bomb. And it was hardly a bomb. It was like a rusty old Barina. So potentially there's some shadiness. And I was straight on the defensive. I'm like, I didn't have a car accident on December. But
look, it's worth a reply email asking them to clarify and just say, look, that date doesn't match any of my records, but some of the other details do. Can you please confirm the correct date of the crash?
What are you
Make
talking
them
about?
Don't say, hey, is this the correct date?
Yeah.
Say to them, the date doesn't match. Can you tell me what the correct date was?
I don't know who the name of the person was. I don't know the lady's name.
Make sure that they give you some verifying information in their reply. That was the first thing I did when I got this thing about, it was the whatever the podcast is with Charlemagne the God.
Good.
It's like, we're going to,
the Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah.
And they had the correct name of the person and everything, and we're going to give you this appearance fee. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. But again, I can't see anything for certain. It's exactly the same situation, right? And so I made some replies that asked them for some specifics back, and all I got was generic copy paste. And I went, okay, so this is the second red flag.
Yeah.
So in your case, I'd be making sure don't give them specifics and ask them to verify it.
Be like,
ask them to tell you the specifics.
What are you talking about, mate?
Well, I mean, they need to know that they might have the right person. They're not sharing information with the wrong person. So say, look, some of this information matches, but the date is wrong. Can you please confirm the correct date of the collision?
Yeah.
And just get them to do that.
I don't know about you, but whenever I see like a legal thing, I'm like,
yeah, you always get that moment.
That's when my heart stopped. I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
All
right. So we've got a couple of things that we can go to.
TOFA's legal services are now closed. I'm not taking
That was not
clients.
legal advice. We can talk about the Victorian Treaty, Greta Thunberg's flotilla drone strike.
Saving the world.
This is some good news. Brittany Higgins was ordered to pay Linda Reynolds up to 80% of the legal costs.
Oh, so legal costs have been awarded now as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Let me pull up the article.
I wasn't aware of this because I knew the $350,000 payout was awarded.
So she's been ordered to pay, as per the judge, 80% of her former boss's legal costs, which is estimated to be over $1 million.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's going to take a big chunk out of whatever's left of her Commonwealth government payout.
Apparently, it's all tied up in a trust. She has alleged that she only has $10,000 in assets, which I find remarkable. Are you a terrible manager of money, Miss Brittany Higgins?
Well, I don't know how legal payouts work. Is it possible that it's tied up in a trust because the lawyers needed some recourse against her for their own costs or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what the legalities are. That could be true. It could be true that there's...
Oh, you mean it's had to have been paid into the trust of the lawyers when the defamation trial started?
No, that the payout that she received from the federal government,
What-
how does that get paid? I've never been through that before. I don't know how any of that works.
interesting.
She would owe lawyers money at that point. Does it have to go into escrow? I don't know. I just don't know.
To be honest, the only people that won out of this are lawyers.
Correct. That's the only people that ever win.
That's what's so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's it was $2.4 million of taxpayer money
Yeah.
that was siphoned off to Brittany, but most of it will now go to legal firms.
Yeah, various legal firms representing different people. This is the thing. When a couple that are getting divorced walk into a lawyer's office, a good lawyer will say, listen, let's try and do this amicably. And then if one of them turns around and goes, no, it's the principle of the thing,
Yeah.
they go and buy themselves a new Mercedes. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to clean up today.
When I was vexatiously litigated by my ex-business partner, my lawyer said to me, because I was exactly that, I was like
Yeah.
indignant, like this is wrong, this is not
Yeah.
real. And my lawyer's like, yes, but I make my money and wealth off principle.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you something about law. That I was so green back then. I look back at the young Carls then and went, wow, that was a brutal life lesson. That you can make up something and just tie someone up in court.
I've just had a friend of mine get dragged through a horrific situation, a false sexual assault allegation.
Ah, yes.
The extent of the allegation was that he had suggestively touched her shoulder. And it later came out that she was also accusing him of putting his hand on her knee. And the judge has turned around and thrown all of that out and said, look, we're going to, the final judgment hasn't come down yet, but basically all the sexual assault stuff is off the table. But she's going to find him guilty of some things, probably around paperwork to do with having the right procedures as a business owner for your employees to be able to make complaints and blah, blah, blah. He didn't have some work safe processes, some bureaucratic BS in place. And this is what often happens in court. What the judge has basically said is, yeah, all the allegations are complete bubkers, but I'm still going to find a way to punish him. And this happens so often, where the judge wants to find the middle ground.
Yeah.
Right? So, well, sometimes the middle ground's not real. Like sometimes the middle ground isn't the right thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes one side has actually just made this up.
Yeah.
And is trying to punish the other side through the process.
That's what happened to me.
And every time the judge goes, oh, well, we'll just find a little bit of middle ground here.
Yeah.
They're literally rewarding the vexatious litigant.
Yes.
And rewarding this idea of, well, I'll just punish him because the process is going to be arduous.
Yeah.
Now, that individual who brought the case is not at risk for any legal costs because she was covered through some work-related scheme that's government funded. So she gets taxpayer-funded legal representation. And she can now claim, even though she lost, she can now claim, I think it's $30,000 or $50,000 under a workplace-related
That is
scheme.
disgusting.
For having been through the trauma of having to sue her former boss.
That's disgusting.
So she was pure upside. There was literally all of her incentives are bring the biggest and worst accusation that you can against this person because there is no downside to you. And the biggest and worst accusation she could come up with was he touched my shoulder and later on, he put his hand on my knee.
This is the part where I get so angry because there are people who are genuinely workplace harassed or assaulted or worse.
Yes.
And it's real.
Yes.
And then you have these women who make up these allegations. It's the Amber Heard effect, right?
And women who are actually being victimized then have their testimonies cast in doubt.
That's what I mean.
Because women like this, in this case, have just made shit up.
That's what makes me so angry.
Yeah.
And it's the same with domestic violence against men. There are absolute pieces of shit out there, for sure.
Yeah.
But not all of them are.
Yep.
And this, oh God, like it used to be innocent until proven guilty. Now it's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, well, certainly if you're a male and you're accused by a woman, that's been the case for over a decade now, and it still is the case now.
I don't know how you solve these issues.
These have to come from a very deep cultural level.
Shift.
And I would actually even go deeper. I think it actually has to come from a spiritual level, and we're going to be talking a bit about that a little bit later on with what's happening in the US.
Yeah.
But these can't be solved politically.
Yeah.
These aren't political problems.
Yeah. I just realized I was sharing my screen. I probably shouldn't have been sharing that.
Oh, while you were scrolling?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to edit
People
this
are going to
podcast.
be freeze framing like,
No,
what'd she say? What'd she say? What's she got there?
Yeah, I'm going to have to cut that out. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well,
I literally had my address on the screen.
All right. Well, we are 1 hour and 23 minutes in, so you're going to have to go back to that mark and write it down.
That was a faux pas on my
So we're just
behalf.
going to like blur the screen for that section.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. That was a
because
stupid...
you just doxed yourself for the next 2 weeks till you move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stupid. I didn't realize I was sharing the screen still.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's some good news, I think, that Brittany
Yeah. Look, it's nice. It's sort of couldn't happen to a nicer girl kind of vibes for me.
Whether or not what happened is regardless now. It is so insignificant, not because it's not an egregious thing to happen, but look what happened and how quickly the seagulls came to feast on that.
Yeah.
You know?
And what's his name? Bruce Lerman, he's going to struggle to work again. That's going to chase him for the rest of his life.
He's been charged with rape again, hasn't he?
I did hear something about that. And I'm not defending him, by the way. When I did try and look into it a little bit, it's kind of like, he seems pretty slimy, to be honest.
He doesn't seem like a good dude.
But that doesn't mean that
none of them do, to be honest. I think that the three of them paint a very good picture.
They're political staffers.
Correct.
They are wannabe politicians who know that they haven't got what it takes.
Yes.
Right? And they are just as slimy. They're cut from the same cloth. Sorry if you're a political staffer and you watch this, but honestly, that is, if you aspire to be in that world, nah. So anyway, I'm not going to defend his honor by any stretch of the imagination. He seems like a very, very slimy kind of guy. But again, slimy and rapist are two very different things.
Yes.
And that is a line that we need to be willing to draw a very clear distinction between.
So that's that story. And then we have, of course, we'll go to this one very quickly. This is Greta Thunberg's flotilla. And Miguel Duarte, an activist who was on board with Greta's yacht, claims he saw the drone and the drone drop a bomb. The unfortunate reality is that they have security cameras on board and you see an individual try and fire off a flare and the flare falls back onto the ship and sets ablaze. So these people are scum of the earth.
Yeah. At so many levels. I'm writing a video on this. I don't normally give Greta a lot of attention, but honestly, this is so low at so many levels. So firstly, they have this flotilla, this, what do they call it? I can't remember the name of it, but they've got this flotilla that's going to go and sail into the Israeli blockade of Gazan ports and beaches, and is going to try and bring aid, but really not much aid. And even they're honest about that. Like, it's really not about the aid. It's about the activists. It's going to bring the activists in. And we're going to set an example is what we're going to do. Now, let's not forget that was it July? Greta Thunberg tried this already, or June or July of this year. Greta Thunberg tried it. She got intercepted. She got arrested. She got deported out of Israel. So she's trying again. This time she's got a few more boats, and they're currently in Tunisia. Now, Tunisia is on the African north coast. It is still 2,000 kilometers from there to the coast of Israel, or to Gaza. And you have to ask yourself, for someone who's so concerned about the climate, she seems to be not particularly concerned about 20 or 30 odd diesel-burning boats powering their way unnecessarily from one end of the Mediterranean to the other end of the Mediterranean Sea in order to get intercepted and deported basically immediately.
The hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Well, the hypocrisy knows no bounds, and she's just desperate to keep casting herself as the central character. But this is a new low, and I didn't think it could get a lot lower. You remember the picture of the starving child who actually had cerebral palsy. Now, yes, the situation in Gaza is dire, and there's good reasons for that. Israel are willing to ship all the aid in the moment they know that it's going to reach the people, because previously the aid that they were allowing in was being intercepted by Hamas, and Hamas were using it as leverage.
Yes.
Saying, hey, you can have food, you can have medicine for your sister, for your mother, for whatever, but you're going to strap a bomb to your vest and go and walk down that street.
Yeah.
Right, that's why Israel said, hey, we've got to stop supplying this aid. It's not reaching the people it's supposed to reach. It's being confiscated by Hamas and used by them as leverage. So that's what's going on. Israel are very happy for all of that to flow the minute they know it'll actually reach the people that need it. But until then, they're saying, no, we're not going to send it in there just for Hamas to weaponize it against the people of Palestine. So the situation in Palestine is very dire. That is true. But also it gets lied about all the time. So that child had cerebral palsy. In addition to the suffering of being trapped in a war zone. Before that, we had the UN head of humanitarian something or other. Tom is his name. Came out and said there are 14,000 children inside Gaza who are going to starve within the next 48 hours if we don't get the aid trucks moving. Well, guess what? The aid trucks did not start moving, and those 14,000 children did not die.
Yeah.
Right. So we've seen an enormous amount of fear-mongering around this. And so that's the problem. That's the blockade. That's the famine that this flotilla is claiming that it's going to stop. Now, I'm not saying conditions are good. Conditions are awful. Being in a war zone is unthinkable.
Yes.
But recently, Hamas have come out and said that there's been a total of 66 or so thousand casualties on their side caused by the Israelis.
Yeah.
This is in a very small geographical area that has a population somewhere a little bit in excess of 2 million people.
Mm-hmm.
A genocide is not 3% of the population over 2 years. Now, I don't say that to be disrespectful to the suffering, but people who are saying this is genocide are disrespecting that word. They're disrespecting the killing fields of Cambodia. They're disrespecting the Houthis and the Tutsis and the Houthis and Hutus and your African, your Middle Eastern, your Asian actual genocides, let alone going back to the Holocaust, etc. But of course, as soon as you bring that up, people want to rant about that. Genocide is a real thing.
Yes.
3% in 2 years is not a genocide. That's a war. Those are casualties of war. Some of those, I'm sure, should not have died.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that there are civilians amongst that number, and that is tragic.
Yeah.
And that is why I publicly support the call of the Arab states to, was it in July again, I think it was this year, the Arab League came out and said Hamas needs to disarm and leave Gaza.
Yeah.
And they offered to work with the Israeli government to facilitate safe passage of Hamas leaders so that they would abandon their weapons and not just fight to the death. Say, hey, we will give you safe passage. We will give you refuge somewhere where Israel aren't going to be able to, to drag you before the international courts or anything like that. We will give you a place where you can grow old and die if you'll just put down your weapons and walk away. And Hamas have refused. Hamas have refused to do that. So that's the situation that Greta Thunberg, little girl activist, thinks that she's going to sail into and fix.
Well, I think this just speaks to unchecked narcissism, firstly in Greta, and the indulgence of all the sycophants around her.
Yeah.
You think of the people that are supporting this, and I do think there's a few layers, right? On the outer layer, you have the average Joe citizen.
Yep.
Your suburban people who are just like, oh, this sounds terrible.
Yep.
I support not doing bad things to people, right?
Sure.
Cool. Take them out of it. At the core, you have these activists, these people who've been radicalized, and I would say somewhat are brainwashed to believe that they can go in there and disrupt, a foreign government and through their own virtuosity be able to restabilize the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And it's insulting to all the people who are truly suffering.
Yeah.
Israel, Palestine, I don't see a resolution in our lifetime nor the lifetime after that. This will be going on forever. And same with the Middle East. There is an incompatibility there with the way that they perceive life.
Yeah.
Particularly the radical Islamists, they prioritize death. They think death is better than life. And that's just incompatible with the way we value life.
And from the activist point of view, this whole idea, not only is it nonsense, even if they succeeded, even if the Israeli Navy stepped aside and said, okay, come on in, which is, by the way, what I think they should do. I said that about Greta's boat a couple of months ago. Let her in.
Yeah, let her see it.
We wouldn't be having this conversation right now if they'd have just let her in the first time. But even if that happens, she won't change anything. She won't save anyone. But also, she needs a good wake-up call.
Yeah.
And this nonsense about being attacked by a drone is absolute, just exhibits that narcissism that you mentioned, that victim mentality.
Well, sorry to cut you off, but it's no different to lying about being sexually assaulted. It's the same kind of thing, more egregious. What it is cultivating false sympathy, trying to paint yourself as a victim, and then pushing yourself up on the social hierarchy. Because look at us, we're so morally pure that we're going to do this, and people are trying to come after us. Taking genuine care and minimizing the severity from the people who are actually suffering.
Yeah. And the same thing happened with that child with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
To use that child as the poster child, as representative of the entire experience, is deeply disrespectful to people with disabilities and with cerebral palsy. But in this case, there's an interesting angle on the media as well. Yeah. So they claimed we got drone attacked. That got repeated by the media. Now, I did notice the media were very careful, even in their headlines, to say activists claim, right? So, and that to me, that's a giveaway, right? They already have their suspicions and they're putting the don't sue me's into the headlines.
Yes, they're being very wary.
They're not saying headline, flotilla attacked by drone. Activists have claimed that. No. Activists claim attacked by drone. That tells you something right there. Now, the second thing that happened was the Tunisian government came out and said, we don't think there was a drone involved. We've got cameras all over the place. We've got surveillance. No drone was detected. We don't believe that there was a drone involved.
Yeah.
The BBC then came out and did a fact check to try and get to the truth. And they said that the BBC doubts the Tunisian official story on the basis that the object can be seen falling. Now, what they want you to do is go, well, if it fell, then it must have been a drone attack. Well, no, it could very well have been what the security cameras picked up, which was someone shooting a flare into the air, like a muppet, and having the thing come back down on top of the boat.
Yeah.
Right? That's entirely consistent.
Yeah.
And yet now you've got BBC fact check out there, which means people like me are at risk. If I go and publicly say, hey, this is what happened, then a undergraduate, failed wannabe uni student who's gotten a job at Meta's fact check or one of these fact labs sits there and goes, oh, well, the BBC said you were wrong.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
The BBC said that you could see something fall from the sky.
Yeah.
But they're going to take that as...
So disingenuous.
Yeah.
And my frustration, and this is across the board, like with everything that's unfolding right now, is the left, I'm going to say, the progressives, the people on that side of the fence, they're so good and they're so evil with their PR spin.
The PR.
They already have the story before the event's taken place. They know, it's so evil because I see this on my own, social media when people who, like I say, average Joe citizen are posting things like, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm like, stop falling for it.
And never let a good crisis go to waste. It doesn't mean that every crisis is manufactured, is a false flag, is invented for the purpose of leverage. It just means that they're standing ready all of the time so that the moment something happens, they can pounce on it.
Yeah. It's so sickening. And look, I don't know where things go to from here. Like, I just never want to hear Greta's name again.
That would be nice. Honestly, the He-Man memes were hilarious. So after you showed me that thing with the wheels of the trolley with the three.
It's a highlight from last week's episode.
The pretty girl,
Sydney
Sweeney, and then Greta Thunberg in her He-Man impression in the corner. I did see a lot more He-Man related memes, and it was a good week. Yeah,
it's, you know what? Like, as I said last week, it's never great to make fun of someone's appearance, but sometimes we deserve a laugh.
Yeah, and honestly,
and I'm not above being petty.
Honestly, if you're like that was a choice. That haircut was a choice.
It was a choice.
She looked at that and went, I'll have one of those, thanks.
I reckon she just does it herself.
Yeah, quite possibly. Well, saving money, saving the environment.
Right.
All right, enough about her.
Okay, so next topic. Do you want to talk about the whole flags in the Senate issue?
Look, only briefly. It is so incredibly insulting to say that the flag being worn by Senator Price into the Senate was a prop.
They are gunning for her, sorry.
Yeah.
They are.
And the Liberals are as well. So the left of the Liberal Party are feeding this. They are terrified of her. But this was said, so she was accused of using the flag as a prop by the same senator that held up a fish inside the Senate.
Yeah.
Right? So you can walk in there with a dead fish as a prop that smells and drips and who knows what else. But you can't wear the flag of the nation whose Senate you are in.
On National Flag Day.
On National Flag Day in the Senate. That flag will be hanging up the front alongside a bunch of others that, in my opinion, shouldn't be there.
Agree.
But she's not allowed to wear that. That's a prop. This is so beneath the dignity of any, or it should be beneath the dignity of anyone in a position of power, and yet here we are.
It's just so insulting that we have to lower ourselves to the unintelligible commentary from the Greens.
Yeah.
And these morons, like at the end of the day, whether or not you like how Australia was founded, it was founded the way it was. We are now, 250 years down the road? More? Who knows? Whatever.
So the bicentennial was in 84, I think it was. Anyway, 230, 240. Okay. I should know, but I don't.
Getting close to right? Does it matter at this
88.
point? Yeah. No, I don't think I was alive.
I was already at primary school. Got to be 88, 87. I don't know. Anyway, somewhere there.
So this is where we're at now. We can't even be proud to be Australian. We can't even show our flag. It's the same thing in
We don't even
England.
know when we were founded.
Yeah, it's the same thing in England. And what I think their ultimate goal is to just have anarchy. I was saying this to G last night. Like, what is the goal here? Repeal everything back to what? What is their version?
They're not repealing anything back, and they're not aiming for anarchy. They're adding more, and they're aiming for absolute stifling control. What they're removing is identity. In the same way that Romans, when they would conquer, they would require native populations that they conquered to stop using their own language, to stop worshipping their own gods, to stop celebrating their own national holidays. They would strip them of any of that identity. What's happened is the West has been invaded by woke ideology, by self-hatred. I would argue, if you want to know the spiritual roots of this, read Return of the Gods by Jonathan Cahn. Very, very good book on this. We've seen a return of ancient demons, essentially Canaanite gods that have been worshipped by almost every culture over time under different names. The Greeks had them, the Romans had them, the Canaanites had them. We've seen them, we see different expressions of them in South American religions as well. And we've seen a return of this essentially paganism is essentially what actually transgenderism, wokeness, all of this is actually a modernized expression of paganism.
Yeah.
We've seen that come back, and it has conquered.
Yeah.
And what it's trying to do now is to strip us of all of our symbols, of all of our identity, of our language, because they're perverting and subverting the words and the language all the time. They are stripping us of our identity, our strength, our ability to speak and to have a flag to rally around, to have something to be proud of. They're denying us our history. And try and look at what's happening with the voice in Victoria, or not the voice, but the treaty in Victoria right now, where they're going to ram it through schools, and they're going to teach every single non-Indigenous child to be ashamed of our history, especially if you're a European, to be ashamed of our history. And they're stripping us of our identity for the purpose of complete control. They are trying to engineer a lugubrious society.
Ha! Well done.
Where, thank you. I was quite proud of that. That's why I paused a little about 30 seconds ago. I kind of had that moment where it was like I'd lost my way. I hadn't lost my way. My brain was going back to remember the word.
Well played.
Thank you. But it is the appropriate word. That is what they're trying to manufacture. Is make Australia lugubrious so that we are more easily controlled and we don't feel that we have anything to be proud of.
Is this the basically heralding in a new communist age in Australia? That's essentially where we're going.
A new totalitarian age. See, people, if you say communist, people go, well, it's not communism because there's these details that are different to communism. No, it doesn't matter. Totalitarian. Yeah. Right? People get obsessed about the left versus right and whether it's fascist versus communist or whether it's not, blah, blah, blah. And we do talk about that here from time to time. In reality, that's a distraction because both left and right are ultimately totalitarian. They want the government to have total control. They disagree with what the government should do with that total control, but they both believe the government should have total control. Libertarians, what makes us different is not that we're a little bit less left or a little bit more right or anything. No. It's that we believe in freedom. We believe that we're on the freedom versus totalitarian axis, not the left versus right axis. And what all they want is more government, more. And this is what, when people talk about the Liberal Party, Labor Party in Australia, or the Republicans and Democrats in the US being two wings of the same bird or two boots of the same oppressor, they're correct in the sense that both of them agree that the government should have more power. Both of them agree that the government should have more control, more rules, more of everything. They disagree with which rules they should have and how that power should be used, but they both agree that they should have more. And that's what we're fighting
the worst
against.
thing is, like, as I said, the average citizen is cheering this on.
Well,
Why isn't the government doing more?
The government should do more to help with whatever.
Actually, back to, this was something I did want to bring up before and it left my mind, but talking about the machete crime in Victoria, I've noticed now a lot of the Sudanese communities now speaking up and there's a lot of discussion around it. And I can't help but notice the rhetoric is about why aren't they helping us? Why is this happening to us? There's an element of racism. Oh, there's an undertone that
implied.
It's racism. And this just makes me so angry because you're saying that Australians are doing this to you. Your children are doing this to each other.
And you're exactly right. And that's one of the points I made in my video that I released yesterday was that the father of one of the two boys that was slain on the weekend came out and said, this is happening to my community. I said, yes, and you're a grieving father and I understand where you're coming from, but this is being done by your community. And there are people in your community who know who did this. And they're not coming forward. They're not coming to the cops and saying, hey, we know. let's start there.
This is an imported problem, and that's not racist to say. We didn't have machete hacking attacks prior to this.
Murders of that nature were very rare. They happened, but they were very rare. We had backpack killers.
I'm not saying that murder never happened.
It's not as though we were some kind of a paradise, but we did not have a dynamic like this.
No.
Where it was just this ongoing drumbeat of people killing each other in the streets.
And this is the segue into the next topic. This is why I wanted to bring it up.
Sorry, before you do that, I can hear something. Hang on. What can I? The sourdough is calling out to you.
Again? Has it been half an hour?
I reckon it has. It's now, I mean, we've been going. You've only done it twice during the show. We've been going for well over an hour and a half. So
yeah, it must be time. Well, I'm glad someone's paying attention.
Yeah, no, that's right. I could just hear it like,
Is this the ultimate tangent? Is this the ultimate tangent?
Stretch me.
I will stretch you.
That was very bad for my throat.
Is this the most random tangent?
Look, so there's a theory in acting called the independent activity. That when you are rehearsing a scene and even potentially performing a scene, there are certain directors that are really wonderful at this. Give the character an independent activity to have to do. That might be washing the dishes. Soap operas are notorious for this. Someone will be doing housework, and it's really obvious in those cases. But there's a way to do it artfully. And it just leads to more natural delivery of lines. It means that they're busy doing something and the dialogue actually relaxes and settles into a much more natural position. And I wonder, could we have like independent activities? Like we just got to have G just walk in randomly and do 52 pickup and just throw playing cards all over the table. And the independent activity is we have to gather them all and then sort them all into order and see if any are missing and just keep talking like nothing happened.
There we go. Sourdough stretched. So, speaking of...
You can stretch my sourdough anytime.
Well, you'll see it starts to look really good. It gets all like stretchy and it looks like elastic. That's when you know you're onto a good one. So this is not a tangent. It's just more of a segue into the next part. So talking about this crime and the escalation, everyone's like, how are they murdering each other? I'm like, well, because you've allowed them to ransack homes
that's right.
and have home invasions and stolen cars for so long.
Yeah.
This is the next, this is the graduation.
Yeah. No one's attacking someone in the street with a machete as their first time offense.
Correct. And so that's why I thought I'd bring this up, because Elon Musk shared this. And so there's obviously around the world, whether it's UK, Canada, America, Australia, Paris, there is so many horrible crimes that are now coming out.
Yes.
And of course, when you see them all sort of starting to cement together, you go, holy shit, this is an apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it does feel like that. But when you look at it, and when you look at, again, the data, it is a small number of criminals who are doing the worst thing. And the problem is they wouldn't be doing them if they were off the streets and they were rectified at the first sign of danger. So, someone who still shoplifts for the first time and then moves on to armed robbery and then moves on to assault.
Can you enlarge that graph? I can't read the bottom bar under that graph.
It says prior arrests.
So then, right, so being committed to state prisons in 34 states in 2014. So it's old data. It's just interesting that there's, so the end of the graph, can you move that window?
Oh, yeah, where it goes up to 31.
Right, so that's 31 or more, right, is a large proportion. Yep, okay, yep. I was curious about why that spike happened, but that makes sense because that's just encapsulating every single number from 31 and beyond. So now that I understand that, I just couldn't read it. That's all, my eyes are failing. Yeah, so go back to the left-hand side of the graph, please.
If I go wider and then get out of that.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah.
And so
this speaks relatively well for itself.
And so this brings to mind the recent issue with the Ukrainian woman in North Carolina. He had 14 prior arrests.
Yeah.
He was a known menace. He was a known, I think his prior arrests were aggravated burglary and under gunpoint, assault.
Violent weapons.
Yeah. So this is just a natural escalation.
Yeah.
You let these people feel emboldened, they're going to keep pushing the envelope. And so when we've got teenagers hacking other teenagers to death with a machete, you have to look at what caused that escalation. And it's because of all the youth crime that's gone unchecked. And I wanted to bring this up. Did I talk about this on Monday? Daniel Andrews shutting down Peter Dutton in 2018?
Let's get to that in a minute because I want to stay on exactly what you were just talking about. So before I released my video yesterday, I posted, I think on Monday, about the double murder. And I said that sometimes we need to actually let fathers or uncles or the men in these young people's lives beat the ever-loving shit out of them when it's necessary. right? And I put the when it's necessary there for good reason. And then someone in the comments wanted to get all butthurt about me. Well, I've raised a kid and he's a perfect angel and I never, I'm no contact parenting, no physical discipline, blah, blah. Yes, but I'm going to wager that your son never headed on the path towards violent carjackings and robberies, right? The when it's necessary is important. When your kid
I don't see it, so it doesn't
goes
happen.
that way, or it didn't happen to my kid. I was a perfect model parent. It wasn't necessary with my child, so it'll never be necessary with anyone's child. No. Once a kid, and if the justice system isn't going to do the right thing, then unfortunately it falls to parents. Once a kid starts committing acts of violence and can't be pulled into line by any less extreme measures, an act of mercy to that kid is to beat the ever-loving shit out of them, hospitalize them, have them spend 6 months eating through a straw while they wait for their face to fuse back together in hospital so they can think about what they've done. Because that as an intervention will completely change their future, completely change their life. In the name of compassion, they're playing catch and release. They're letting these kids off. They're letting them get away with it. They're letting them get back on the streets. And the end result is murders like the one that we saw of the Ukrainian model in the US, murders like the 2 that we saw of these Sudanese kids on the streets of Melbourne. That's what compassion looks like, because I'm not allowed to say, you know what, sometimes people just need the shit bit out of them.
Well, I wanted to show you this, and I don't want to be insensitive showing you this clip, but I think it's important. And I'm going to get called racist for showing this clip because it's a black man antagonizing a Queen's Guard. And essentially what it is just shows this kind of behavior. This, like, no one tells them off, so they feel like they can do anything, right? And I'm not saying this is only black people. Please do not take it that way. What I'm saying is this is the kind of behavior that we're being told to tolerate. And I'll just let you watch what happens.
One more time.
Hey.
Wait for the Queen's Guard! Funny, he can't do nothing. Wait for the Queen's Guard! Mate, wait for the Queen's Guard! I'm not being harmed, just, it's fun. But he can't do nothing. He can't do...
Please tell me the guy beats the shit out of him.
He can't do nothing.
Yeah, good. 100%.
Knocks
Correct
him out
response. Correct response. If that guy gets in trouble, I'll be fucking pissed.
Look, I don't know when this clip was, but I was like, that's exactly what it needs to take.
Exactly what has to happen.
Yes,
Yep.
more people need to get both metaphorically and physically punched in the face.
Yes, correct.
Isn't it Mike Tyson that said that? People running around disrespecting like they don't expect to get cut
punched in the face, because they're doing it online, etc.
Yeah.
No, this is an unfortunate reality. So, the Queen's Guard are meant to not react.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of the drill, part of the aura around them. And it's really interesting. It's a cultural test. It's another one of these trolley sort of tests.
Yeah.
Because some people go, oh, they're not allowed to react. I'll go and take a picture next to them. I'll get a feather and pretend like I'm tickling them in the ear and take a funny photograph. Other people get in their face.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a really interesting psychological test, a little bit like that very macabre story you told a little while ago about the woman who did that whole thing, you can do anything to me for 24 hours or whatever it was, right?
Yes.
That becomes a psychological test of the caliber of the kind of people that come along.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And sometimes the people that respond to these sorts of incentives show you that they need a punch in the face.
Yes.
And the best thing, the most compassionate thing, the greatest thing that you can do for the sake of mankind, but also for the sake of that individual, out of compassion for that individual, is to knock them out cold like what that guard did.
I agree. And,
Attitude adjustment.
And this is my frustration because you would be the bad person if you did that. So
correct.
You can sit there and
He was only using words and you assaulted him.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'd do it again.
100%. 100%. And this is where I get so ticked off with the modern world because I have every right to defend myself and speak up for myself, but I'm not allowed to because it goes against, political correctness or, the whole, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying not to be, got to be tolerant.
Yeah.
No, if more people got punched in the face, that would sort people out very
much
quickly.
better manners. So this comes back to, and sorry to bring up the Second Amendment, people get annoyed when you talk about guns. So it was Colt. Was it Henry Colt? Was that his name? Colt, the original Colt who designed the Colt revolver, which was a revolutionary weapon because it allowed you to fire multiple shots in quick succession. So now an individual who was proficient in the use of a single firearm, or if they carried two, could face off with potentially multiple attackers.
Yeah.
Which had not been previously true of firearms before then.
Yeah.
And of course, if you only had one shot, well, then now you're down to hand-to-hand combat. And if
Yeah.
you're a woman, or if you're a small-statured male, or if you're elderly, or whatever, you're at too much of a disadvantage. I think it was Henry Colt said, "God made man, I have made them equal."
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because anyone could handle his revolver. Women
Yes.
could handle his revolver. Anyone could now carry that as a self-defense. And the expression came to be, an armed society is a polite society.
Yeah.
Well, a society where if you're a dickhead, you get punched in the face is going to be a much more polite society.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that idiot was in the face of that Queen's Guard the way that he was because he thought there would be no consequences.
Yes.
He thought the guy couldn't do anything.
And that brings me back to what's happening here. Imagine if those thugs, when they're breaking into homes, were assaulted in the face with a friggin' metal baseball bat or a golf club.
Yeah.
Or they got the
Golf
kitchen
clubs
knife.
are too flimsy. Golf clubs, forget about it.
You know, just like fight back, a hammer to the face, whatever it is, whatever household item that you had, to teach them, try it again.
Yeah.
You know, break their arms, break their legs. And like people go, oh, you're encouraging violence. Yes, because it should be at a point where if you're going to make that stupid decision to come into someone's home whilst they are unprotected and vulnerable because they're sleeping and whatnot and think that there's no consequences, guess again.
But also people say, oh, people could get killed, people could get hurt. These kids are killing themselves by wrapping themselves around trees.
Yeah.
But they're killing other people by having high-speed collisions. They're killing other people by invading their homes and murdering the home occupants. They're killing other people because they posted a meme they didn't like and they hunted them down on the street at night. The dying is already happening. The killing is already happening.
What is Gad Sad? Is Gad Sad that coined it suicidal empathy?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's actually what it is. Like, oh, we don't want people to die. Well, they're dying anyway.
They're dying.
The fact that you won't acknowledge that they're dying is why we are in this mess, and it's only going to escalate from here.
And consequences have to follow that kind of stupidity. And if they don't, the stupidity escalates until they kill themselves or someone else.
Yeah.
Right. And so intervening earlier, violently if necessary, I think is actually doing them a favor.
All right. I've got a good tangent.
Okay. Should I?
Yes.
Is it time?
It's time.
Okay. Are you ready? You sure?
I'm ready.
Are you comfortable?
Hang on.
Are you settled? Have you got your spirit
Warming
fingers?
up,
You got your jazz
good.
hands? Your jazz hands ready to go?
All right, everyone, we'll do it together. Hang on.
Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time.
If you weren't watching from the beginning, this would
That
make
would
no
make no
sense.
I don't remember why I did it the first time.
I don't
But
remember
boy, I'm
either.
glad I did.
But it's now been coined into our merch line.
is,
so
yes, that's right.
If you haven't yet, go over and buy yourself a hoodie. And actually, where is mine? Has it come yet? Let's have a look.
You better not have missed it.
Hang on, where's my app? There it is. Good old Australia Post.
No.
I would hear the doorbell because we've got the.
Yeah, I would have thought so. The dogs would go nuts.
Yeah, not yet. So tangent time. Good friend of the show, Joel Jamal,
Oh,
not
yes.
otherwise known as Joe, but Joel Jamal because I call him.
Joe Jamal. Yes, I remember that.
Because I call him Joe.
Yes.
I don't know why I do that, Joel, but I've corrected myself. So he's posted this on X today. So I have subscribed to Friendly Geordies because I like to keep up with what the left are doing. And you would be interested to know, actually, before I go into Joel, you would be interested to know that a lot of the left-leaning influencers are now whinging about being suppressed and shadow banned.
Oh, wow.
And I find
Welcome to the club.
Well, I find it really interesting because Friendly Geordies put up a video. I'm just going to pull it up, basically saying like, you know, this could be the end of this channel. We're getting half the views that we used to. We don't make any money.
Maybe people are over you
Well,
and you're relentless whinging,
I'm just,
Mr. Jordan Shanks.
yeah. So,
But also, what's his name? Punter would be cutting his lunch. Punter would appeal
Yes.
to, broadly speaking, the same audience.
Oh yeah, I'm
And-
back. Hey,
sorry, didn't want
And
to play.
Punter is frankly better, a lot better than Jordan Shanks ever was. So that would be having an impact.
Well, Geordies is meant to be
as you're probably aware, we've been through threats, lawsuits, police surveillance, mobsters, but now at Friendly Geordies we face our toughest opponent yet, the YouTube algorithm. You may have seen a few videos recently about changes to YouTube's system resulting in creators' videos being hidden in the algorithm. While we didn't get it the worst, we were hit pretty badly. So badly that we decided to make this video, which we don't like doing. In fact, in 12 years, we have never made a video like this. This is how bad these changes are. Other people have gone into it in more detail about what's going on under the hood, but When you do this for long enough, you do develop a sense for what will or won't perform well. Sure, we like to experiment and try new stuff, but it's become very clear from both talking to people and analytics that our videos are being shown to about half the people that they used to be after these changes. Now, low views don't bother me.
Anyway, firstly, he's wearing an Australian flag, so...
That is an interesting choice, isn't it? When did this video come out?
Today, 21 hours ago.
Okay, so it's not even on Flag Day. So that's an interesting
Wardrobe choice, Jordan Shanks.
Yeah.
Look, I don't mind Geordie's. I know people hate him, but...
I will say, I don't believe he's anti-Australian.
No.
I don't believe he's ever been
I think he believes what he talks, and he's just
I agree.
just
I
a
think he
lefty.
does. Yeah, he's
really
a soft lefty, but he's also a whinger with that private school accent that just pisses me off.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
So he's put out a video. Punters Politics put out something similar, and a lot of the left-leaning ones have put it out. And same thing. They're just saying that they're getting hit by the algorithm.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo, woe is me. We all got I didn't get deplatformed, but we all got censored. We all got stripped.
Let me just, on that topic, let me just see how I uploaded a video in the car on the way down here about, 10:30. I put that up. And let me just see how it's going. Oh, it's only got 30,000 views.
Yeah.
Since I uploaded it this morning before we started recording.
There's a two thing here, right? One is the quality of your content.
Yeah.
If you're just putting out doomsday stuff, it does get to a point where people are like, oh, I can't stomach this anymore.
Yeah.
And there was an account that I watched heavily during the first Donald Trump. No, it was the 2020 election. And I became obsessed with this channel because it was really good. It was called The Liberal Hive Mind. And then he put out like 5, 6, 7, 8 videos a day. But during the initial 2020 election, it was great. And then it got to a point one day I was like, I cannot watch one more of your videos.
Yeah.
It's just constant doomsday.
Yeah.
And it was always on the negative. I know why.
Yeah,
It makes him
it gets
money.
the clicks. Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
And then I just
But it also fatigues your audience.
It did.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. One day I went, enough, done. And I have not watched a video since.
Yeah.
So I think if you're constantly beating that hysteria drum, right-leaning people, nut jobs, Nazis, the world's ending, it's all this, that, the other. People go, oh, God, give me something new.
Yeah. And also, like, I think it's important to look at the world realistically, and there is bad news out there. There are tough topics that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But this is one of the reasons why I try on a regular basis, not in every video, but I try on a regular basis to shine a little bit of light on either someone who's doing something about it, or to encourage people to focus on what they can control, to bring a little bit of agency, a little bit of hope, so that it becomes actionable rather than just doom and gloom, fear porn.
And I would say, like, even I'm just going to bring up our little stats. Like, when I say little, like, not to diminish what we've achieved, but we're in September, so 9th month. We're at episode 36, and we've been able to amass 3,070 subscribers. And on average, our episodes are getting around the 3,000 views on YouTube. Some more, some less. And then our downloads are around the 2,500, 3,000 per episode.
Yeah, nice.
So that's a lot of views, and we're really grateful for you guys. But certainly I have noticed that all of a sudden it's like the restrictions are off. And I'll play Joel's video in a second, but even on my personal Instagram, like I'll bring it up just to show you something. Hang on, I'll close that so I don't accidentally show you something I shouldn't show you. Not that I do anything nefarious on here, but, I don't want to dox myself a second time in the same
time in the same show. Yeah.
Sorry, G. I will edit that out. But if we go to, can I do insights on this? Can you? Professional account. Yeah.
Do you need some on hold music?
No, I just because you can look at this when you're on your phone. I don't know if you can do it through their stupid, because Instagram doesn't have a web app.
Yeah, you got to go through the creator suite to look at all their data, don't you?
Yeah, well, you can do it on your phone. I
Yeah.
don't think I can do it on that's annoying. Yeah. So essentially, I'll do it on my phone instead. I have been steadily losing, I'd say somewhere between 6 to 20 followers a day since 2021.
Sure.
So after that initial massive influx of audience, it was slowly going down. And I think I've posted some of my best content in the last 2 years.
Sure.
Whether it's photography, reels, whatever. But even though I gained followers, I was constantly being stripped. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe people are bored with me, COVID, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it was about maybe 3-4 months ago, I'm now getting, on average, per month, over 1 million views on Instagram. There you go. It's like, if I put it on me, so you can,
that's me.
That's you. So I know it's backwards, but you can see, that's 1,100,000 in the last month. I have gained 21,000 interactions this last week, and I have gained, there you go, if you can see that, 39,054 followers.
Wow.
Up 1,000 in a week alone.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm not doing anything differently.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like there is change in the air. And it's so interesting to notice because, you know, we were punished for a long time.
Oh, yeah. We were on the receiving end of all kinds of, you know, overt bans as well as shadow bans.
Yeah.
I'm restricted on Facebook right now because I dared to repeat the claim that the machete bins cost $350,000
I didn't know that Facebook was still doing this stuff.
So they stopped it in the US,
Yeah.
and it definitely got better here, but it hasn't.
Is that
ended
Karen?
here. No. I think that's just still Meta being Meta,
Right.
doing its thing. But the reality is, they've got to keep one eye on Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing the entire world a huge favor right now. So I've covered in my own videos, and I think we touched on it in the Oddcast, the fact that Donald Trump stopped the UK government from cracking Apple's end-to-end encryption. And props to Apple for standing up against it. And then props to Donald Trump and Pam Bondi for, not Pam Bondi, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, for tightening the screws on the UK government till they abandoned the whole thing. They're doing similar things to the EU right now. And what's happened is the American tech companies, it's twofold. Number one, they've got a president that's got their back.
Yeah.
So they can stand up
Yeah.
and actually know that the president's going to back them. Secondly, they've got a president they should be afraid of if they do the wrong thing. And I think the combination of those two things, they're emboldened to do the right thing and they're more afraid to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And the combination of those two things is really, really good for the entire world and could become one of our greatest assets as the fight against the e-Karen escalates in December.
It's almost like deterrents work.
Oh, it's like incentives. People respond to them.
Yeah, it's funny. It's
Someone
so
should-
funny.
Someone should do a master's degree on this,
Yeah,
Carly.
I reckon.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I was just thinking before about the way I was framing the beauty stuff. I was like, oh, God, I feel like I've made these claims now and people are like, where's your science? I've got it.
Yeah.
And I'm like knee deep in an exegesis right now. But what's interesting, a lot of the videos that I've been playing them on the podcast, they are doing really well because you have to create a hook, right? So I say something that seems outlandish.
Yeah.
And then I devolve it and then, you know, go, okay, well, here's what we need to look at. And people go, oh, that was insightful. Thank you for that. So you kind of have to still play the game a little bit. But it's interesting. I feel like people are hungry for more information.
Yeah.
And you can tell immediately if it's AI slop.
Yes, that's true. But and people's insight is developing in the same way that movie special effects from 20 years ago can look rubbish. You watch Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
Right? It's not scary.
I've never watched it and never will, but sure.
It's not scary anymore. But also there is a reality as well that there aren't as many people on our side doing what we do. There's a lot more of the friendly Geordies.
Yes.
Now, I agree with what you said. I think he means what he says. I think he's sincere. I think he's wrong. And he's on that sort of soft socialist left.
Yeah.
There's a lot more of him than there are of us.
Well, it's more appealing because up until recently, it was rewarded.
They've had a, relatively speaking, it hasn't been easy by any stretch. Most of the people who try and do it fail. So still, props to Jordan, props to punters, and props to all these guys who actually make it because they are the cream of that particular crop. But the reality is they did have it easier, and they're discovering now that the playing field's been leveled.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're being shadow banned. No, you're being treated the same as the rest of us.
Yeah. I genuinely appreciate there's things that punters say I agree with. I'm not I really hate when it's like, well, we'll only talk up for our team and anyone that's on the other team.
Punter did some fantastic work standing up against some of the members of the New South Wales Parliament. I don't remember their names. I'm not going to try and guess because I'll probably get the wrong ones and get sued. But Punter has done some very, very courageous work.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I disagree with his political alignment. Like, he's very pro-Teals. But, you know, at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot of what he says that I can get behind. And
I'm sorry. I meant Jordan. Jordan is sorry, and Punter I like as well. He's actually funny, unlike Jordan. But
Jordy
sorry,
funny.
Jordan did good work. That's who I meant to be
you
talking
mean
about.
John Baliano or Barata?
That's why I didn't. Barillaro.
And then he got firebombed, which is horrific.
So sorry. So no insult to punters, but Geordie. I dislike almost everything about him. I dislike his voice. I dislike his politics. I think he's a whinging sook. But he did do some very courageous work on that topic, and props where it's due.
But this is my thing. Like, I can have a different opinion with these guys, but I still feel like we could get along. But unfortunately, it's become very much like my team versus your team.
Yeah.
And any kind of fraternization against your team is considered like...
Okay, but can I point to a dark side here?
Yeah.
Right? So from the point of view of people who consume this content, they look at it and go, oh, well, there's Topher over here and there's let's say, Geordie over there, all right? But actually, the reality is, and I'm going to regret saying this because this is going to get clipped and used against me for years to come. Someone like Jordan Shanks and I, have more in common with each other than we have with most of our viewers.
Somebody help us, please.
Sorry.
Thanks for the dramatic sound effect. You just gave me a heart attack. Because we've both had to, in very different ways, we've had to walk a similar road, overcome a lot of internal demons, overcome a lot of external criticisms, develop skills and the ability to communicate and everything else. And this is exactly what happens with political parties.
Yeah.
By the time you are the Prime Minister on the one hand and the leader of the opposition on the other, they have far more in common with each other than they do with all the people barracking for and saying, no, we hate this side, but we love that side.
Yeah.
They actually have a lot more in common with each other because of the road that they've had to walk. That is a real thing. That is a real reality. And so what ends up happening at a national level, at a political level, at a publicity level in the media, etc., is these people end up having to play fight each other. Mm-hmm. They actually like each other behind closed doors.
Yeah.
They actually share an enormous amount in common behind closed doors, but they have to play fight in public.
Yeah.
And,
They're all
and,
having
and
a beer
put on
afterwards.
the performance, right?
Yeah.
Now, I've never met Geordie. I'd be perfectly happy to meet him so long as that wasn't his real voice. If it was, it'd be a short conversation. But probably Punter. I'd love to hang out with Punter. He seems fun. And we would disagree on a lot of things politically. But the reality is, I think he seems like a decent guy. And whatever our differences politically, we actually also share a lot in common.
Look, and I champion anyone that got off their butt to build something. Like, it's hard.
It is.
I was just looking then. Punters has gotten, where is he? 174,000 subs. And he only started going hard on it maybe 18 months ago.
Yeah,
so
something like that. Yeah, he's doing well.
Good on him. Look, I don't agree with his sentiments. And I mean, there was a video he put up, I was just trying to find it, where he was sort of defending purple pingers on Sky News.
Yeah.
And he was saying that, they were spreading lies. And look, Punters runs with the same talking point, Murdoch media, right wing. It's the same crap, which is annoying. But then every now and then it's like he opens up and gets a bit of sunshine and then he goes, close it back down again. So, but back over to Joel.
Yes. All that. So that was a tangent. That was a
tangent. It was a good tangent. So, and we love Joel.
So yesterday, Friendly Geordies came out and was complaining about YouTube and saying that the algorithm's changing a lot.
As you're probably aware, we've been through threats, lawsuits, police surveillance, mobsters, but now at Friendly Geordies we face our toughest opponent yet, the YouTube algorithm.
There is clearly something going on because over the last 3 to 4 years, there are certain social media pages and YouTube accounts that I've had that haven't grown in 3 to 4 years. And it's not because it's not getting views, it's not because it's, crap content. Some of it's been my best content. But there are things that happened during COVID which are now dying off with the algorithms. For example, just so you guys know, I have 2 YouTube channels which haven't grown in 3 to 4 years. Since February 2021, they have now started to grow at a rate of 10 to 20% a month over the last month. Another one is Instagram. Instagram, my Joel Jamal page, my Turning Point Australia page, they hadn't grown since November 2021. So 3 years, they hadn't grown on Instagram at all. 0. It's been net 0 on there. And that has now started to pick up quite a lot, growing at about 5 to 10% over the last month. The other one is Facebook. Turning Point Australia's Facebook page has not grown in 3 to 4 years, not since November 2021. It was just stuck at 99,000 for a really long time. That just not only just tipped past 100,000, but now it's at 111,000. Now, again, guys, this isn't me saying, oh, look at me, I'm doing great things and blah, blah, blah. No. There is clearly something that's happened in the algorithm that Friendly Geordies is picking up on, and I'm definitely picking up on, because in my view, there's been some very, very unfair kneecap.
Yeah. So, and I've definitely noticed it because I was sort of capped at 38,000. I couldn't go past it.
So can I speak to that? Because during the COVID era, I could see this really explicitly on my Facebook page. it would allow me to grow for a little while, and then I'd get pinged for misinformation,
Yeah.
which, you know, it just turns out you were right too soon. 3 months later,
Yeah.
everyone knew it was the truth. And what would happen is my follower count would freeze within a range of about 20 to 30 people. And so it would climb a little bit, and then all of a sudden it would drop, and it would climb a little bit, and all of a sudden it would drop, and climb a little bit, and all of a sudden it would drop. And then, soon after I first started noticing this happen for the first time, I had some people start to message my page saying, oh, hey, I realized I hadn't seen your stuff for a while. I went back to your page, and I wasn't following it. So I had to click to follow it again.
So that you had unfollows.
What I believe was happening within the algorithm was that if it would apply some sort of a cap and basically say, well, I'll allow you to get new followers, but I'm going to just unfollow people and cap your number so that you can't grow.
Interesting.
And it happened multiple times. I'd say it's happened more than a half dozen times where someone has reached out to me to say, hey, I saw this weird thing I thought you should know.
Yeah.
Which means it's probably happened hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of times where, I think the algorithm just said, no, we're capping you.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too, because when you look at, your insights, you see that things are going down. And even though I knew I was gaining 20, 30 people a day, it was still declining by 40 people a day. So it was a net zero return. So I was looking at it going, well, okay. Again, I just thought I was losing my audience from COVID time. But interestingly, you get to know the people that follow you and you get to know their usernames.
Yeah.
And then I'll see such and such has followed you. I was like, oh, didn't realize they'd unfollowed me. That's a shame because we've talked often.
That's right. But I think that's that.
Yeah, it must be.
I think it's that where the algorithm is actually punishing you.
Is that to say that in, be 6 months, 12 months to come, that advertisers will be coming to seek out more conservative voices?
The ones who are smart already will be.
Yeah.
We talked about Volvo before. They are a bellwether brand. They do excellent market research. They are decades ahead of their time. They have jumped on the family-friendly bandwagon. Mm-hmm. They've abandoned a lot of the LGBTQI plus WTF BBQ stuff.
Yep.
Is gone out of their brand now. And they're doing family-friendly advertising.
Yeah.
They know something. Their market research is telling them something. So I think absolutely we are entering a phase where I think culturally things are going to start shifting in our direction, and a lot of the tilted playing field is going to get leveled.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it will go further than just being leveled. I don't need it to go further than just being leveled. I would like a level playing field for a change, please. That would be nice.
Yeah, a level playing field is all I'm advocating for. I don't need to be superior or to see the pendulum swing too far to the other side. I appreciate that people have, totally different worldviews to me, see the world in a different lens. That's okay. We can coexist.
Sure.
But what I've been absolutely outraged by over recent years is just how much that gets jammed down my throat, and me wanting to say my piece is looked down upon. And we were speaking really briefly before about Christianity. Christianity is now a dirty word. You can't say it. It can be mocked. But if you dare say the same about Islam,
That's right.
It's the worst
Can
thing
we
you
get
can
to
do.
that segment for 2 reasons? 3 reasons. Number one, we've only got 45 minutes left.
Yes.
And I'd really love to talk about this today.
The Trump thing.
And play that video. Number two, because my bladder is really full and I'm going to use it as an opportunity to run.
Okay.
And number three, I forget.
All right. Well, one quick thing before we do that. I want to touch on this because it's almost like we are now oracles.
Oh.
So Markets Live. So NAB is now set to cut almost 410 jobs, and ANZ is terminating 3,500 workers, with a large percentage of those jobs being sent overseas.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Who could have predicted it?
I know, right? Who would have thought?
Fascinating.
Who would have thought that Australia's HR laws and high cost of living and exceptionally poor work ethic would eventually bite us in the bum?
And employee taxes.
Yeah, and the payroll taxes and everything
Yeah.
else. Who knew? The other thing's going to be AI. And I'm
100%.
prepping a video on this at the moment because the office job apocalypse has begun.
It's already here, and it's actually really fascinating. As someone in the arts, I look at it and people are like, oh, it's the death of creativity. I'm like, no. No, this is the golden age.
A whole new world.
This is literally the gold rush for proper creativity.
Yeah.
Because I see it now, and I'm not going to throw this person under the bus, but there's a podcast that you guys would all know that speaks to this, and he's grown quite big on Instagram, and he's on our side, which is great. But he reads scripts that are all done in ChatGPT, and I really want to like this bloke, and I understand this person's. No, I'll give it away if I say that. I'm not insulting the person, but I have a hard time listening to them because it sounds like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I can even see where the M dashes would be in the copy.
And where's the value in that?
Anyone
can use ChatGPT.
That's like mine now. And that's the thing. I use ChatGPT a lot, but I use it to help me map things out. So, for example, like G sees me at night. I've got all these ideas in my head, and I used to be the old roll over, write them down.
Yeah.
Now I just like dictate into ChatGPT. All right, I want to do this tomorrow. I'm going to do that. Blah 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 blah. And then whilst I'm sleeping,
remember to look at Skim's underwear again, so all the ads come up when I'm on the Oddcast tomorrow.
Don't say that; it will hear it. It's listening. God, I thought I just got rid of them.
No, they're back now.
Okay, so I just say it into my phone, and there's a thing on ChatGPT called agent mode, which means it does a much deeper dive. So you leave it for like 20, 30 minutes and it goes away. But for example, with the Oddcast, G and I'll be sitting there either in bed or on the couch, both looking through X, and I'm just like writing in things that I want to talk about. And then ChatGPT in the background's going and sourcing all the articles, putting it all together.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the actual conversation, as you might have noticed, I speak off the cuff, which means it's not very polished. I apologize for that. I don't have a teleprompter. And, people are like, oh, she's very unpolished. Well, yes, this is how a conversation goes.
This is real. Yeah.
I can be polished. I've played you my Instagram videos. I do that. Yeah. But even with those Instagram videos, I use ChatGPT to research.
Yeah, it's a research assistant.
But if you read it, it sounds like AI. And that tells me that I don't think there's a lot of depth in it. Not to say that you don't care, not to disparage you from doing it, but take that information, put it in your own head, let it marinate and spit it back out in your words.
So AI will only ever reproduce what someone else has already produced or amalgam of those things. It cannot have that leap of invention, which is what humans can bring. But also, in the end, if we're actually honest with ourselves, even people who watch the nightly news, they're not actually watching it for the news. They're watching it for the news presenters, for the relationship. That's why those people become celebrities.
Yes.
There's a sense of relationship there.
It's called a parasocial relationship.
When people follow podcasts, when people follow influencers, actually it's less about what that person is saying and the information and the value being brought. It's more about the ongoing relationship.
Yes.
And we can commentate on that all day, good, bad, indifferent, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so for me, if you are just repeating and parroting an AI script, you can be replaced with an AI personality, a fake AI generated face, and nothing gets lost at that point because ultimately your viewers don't have a relationship with you because there's none of you in it.
Yeah. And that's a big part of it as well. And you need to be able to take that information in and digest it and speak it in your own words to truly understand it.
Yeah.
And I can see often when this person does their videos, like there's just an element of depth that's missing and I can't build rapport with you.
Yeah, correct.
Because you sound
exactly
like an AI voice.
Yeah.
And I'm not criticizing that person. I'm just like, I get it because maybe you're not comfortable public speaking. That's okay. Like, take it, rewrite it, get a teleprompter.
Just
Same
rewrite
thing.
it. Yep. Or do what I do. I write all my scripts. It's all my words written my way. I then record it into my phone and I play it into my headphones. That's why I wear headphones in all my videos.
Yeah.
You can tell when I'm doing off the cuff versus doing a script I've pre-written because I'll have my headphones in.
Yeah.
And I'm literally listening to my own voice while I talk to the camera as in those moments. That's my technique. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
And it works for me. It works really well. I can do 20-minute videos in a single take because I've got my voice there.
I find I'm most articulate when I'm fired up. There's something about, I don't know whether it's the adrenaline.
It's the single track.
Or
all of the thoughts coalesce around
and they
a
just
single
boom.
track.
And when I'm angry or fired up, the words come out very coherently. Whereas as I'm thinking, I'm sort of like undulating.
The rest of the time, gosh.
Yeah, well, I know that. I know I'm not perfect.
Now, can we get to the video? Because I'm at the toe wiggling stage.
Okay, so am I just playing the whole thing? Because I actually need to go too.
Yeah. Okay, yes, play it, but catch as much of it as you can. Guys, this is amazing. This is 5 minutes cut down from 51 minutes of Trump's speech at the Religious Liberty Convention. Watch this and tell me that the world is not about to change.
We'll be right back.
For thousands of years, the Bible has shaped civilization, ethics, art, and literature, and it's brought hope, healing, and transformation to untold millions and millions of lives. The Bible is also an important part of the American story. For most of our country's history, the Bible was found in every classroom in the nation. Yet in many schools today, students are instead indoctrinated with anti-religious propaganda, and some are even punished for their religious beliefs, and very, very strongly punished. It's ridiculous. I'm pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools, and it's total protection. And I made the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders. You're going to hate this. Male and female. You're going to hate it. But upon taking office, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against religious believers and pardoned the pro-life activists thrown in jail by Joe Biden for saying prayer. And I created the first ever Department of Justice task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. And for those people that are a little bit naive or not well-read, there is a tremendous anti-Christian bias. We don't hear about it. We don't think about it. You hear about anti-Semitic, but you don't hear about anti-Christian. Now, you have a strong anti-Christian bias, but we're ending that rapidly, I will tell you. It's a whole... We're in a much different world today than we were 1 year ago. This is like a different world. And I began my remarks today by noting that the reverence for our Creator, man, we have reverence for our Creator. It is inscribed into our Declaration of Independence, a copy of which I have very proudly hanging in the Oval Office, an original copy, very old, beautiful copy. Next year, we will celebrate 250 years since that declaration was signed. As part of the grand, well, this is really a commemoration like I think we're going to try and do a commemoration like nobody's ever seen before. But we've invited America's great faith communities to pray for our nation and for our people and for peace in the world.
On July 3rd, Mr. President, of this year, you kicked off the year-long celebration of America's 250th birthday in Iowa. You invited America's faith communities to come together to pray for our country. Well, Mr. President, America's faith communities are responding with overwhelming enthusiasm. As you can see here today, we're a nation that has always believed in the power of prayer. During the Constitutional Convention, when our founding fathers, and many of you know this, were discussing the formation of our country, Benjamin Franklin stopped the debate and asked the delegates to pray for guidance from the Lord God Almighty. He famously said, "If a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid?" And you've all heard faith leaders across the country quote 2 Chronicles 7:14, which says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins and will heal their land." On behalf of President Trump and ultimately the Lord God Almighty, who calls us to pray without ceasing, I am inviting all Americans to pray with unwavering faith for the renewal of our nation and our fellow citizens. Amen? Amen. All Americans.
So America has always been a nation that believes in the power of prayer. And we will never apologize for our faith, ever, ever, never, never. We will never surrender our God-given rights. We will defend our liberties, our values, our sovereignty, and we will defend our freedom. And together we will make our country greater, stronger, more united, and more faithful than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now, firstly, as I'm sure you're aware, that's been widely covered in the Australian mainstream media. It's been all over the news media, all about how Donald Trump has been urging people to pray and to get back to their faith and the Christian roots of... No, that wasn't on the news. Oh,
haven't
weird.
heard. Diddly squat.
I was sure that'd be all over the news. What's really interesting to me is that I've been saying for some time. I first said it to my older brothers at Christmas some years ago. They were asking me, what's it going to take to get the country back on track? And I said, I'm sorry, we're beyond a political solution.
Yeah.
We're beyond the point. We are too broken.
I would agree.
Beyond politics. And I believe in politics, and I believe we need to be engaged in politics. I haven't been lying. I mean all of that, and I continue to engage myself because it's important that we don't abandon the battlefield. But actually, that battlefield is not where the war will be won. The war is at a spiritual level. And I'm a Christian, and so I believe it's about us actually returning back to the Christian roots of Judeo-Christian civilization and the culture and the civilization that we were given. You're welcome to disagree with me on that. But fundamentally, we are broken at a level deeper than just politics or culture or even demographics. And for me, to see the United States president, the single most powerful person on the planet, making what I think is the clearest declaration of Christian faith and belief in prayer and in God that I've seen in my lifetime, urging people to pray, making the reforms that he is making, which are largely bringing things back into alignment with God's word. There are two genders, radical thought. The power of prayer, calling on God, repenting. I see good things in the future of the United States of America if they follow down that path, if they actually act on that.
I would agree. And look, I have said this before. I was raised in the Catholic school system.
Yep.
I know the Bible very well. I've read the Bible, and in our VCE, we actually had to do theology as a year 12 subject.
Yep.
Yeah, it was no non-negotiable.
Yep.
So I have studied it quite significantly. I have a lot of issues with the Catholic Church. One of the predatory pedophile priests was hidden at our school, not when I was there, but when my brother was there. So there's a lot around that. I have a lot of distrust around the institution.
Sure.
But my relationship with God has always been there. I said this to Gia a few weeks ago. Like, I still believe in God, unequivocally. How that manifests, I think, is open to your relationship with God. I understand that's different people who adhere to separate sex or whatever. We all have your views. But I want to read you a comment that I got the other day, because this is the part where I get really frustrated.
Sure.
Because I believe that your relationship with God is very personal. And at the end of the day, it's you and him that will have it out.
Yeah.
But given my project around the tarot, I shared something, and I was talking about the death card. Now, what the death card represents is new beginning. You know, like after a fire's gone through a forest, you have regeneration.
Sure.
That's essentially what the death card represents. It's not literal death. And I got this comment. I've been following you for a long time, and I admire your commitment to the truth. I'm sorry for any difficulties you've faced, but the tarot card and everything associated with it is demonic. It is death. You have opened yourself up to Satan, and the demonic has already begun. It will influence your life. Your opening sentence is a confirmation of this. You need Jesus, not tarot cards. I know you know who Russell Brand is. Learn from him. Open a Bible. God, Jesus loves you, and he speaks life, not death. You will need deliverance to get rid of the demonic spirits that have taken you over. Godspeed. And I just don't have time for that shit.
So I would say they've come in pretty aggressively for someone that doesn't have a relationship or a standing based upon which to make such a comment. I don't actually think they're wrong, though.
About the tarot cards.
About the tarot cards. And so the way that Satan works is he twists the truth. So even if you go right back to the Garden of Eden, he doesn't say, he didn't make up a lie out of whole cloth. What he said was, has God said that you should not eat of or even touch the fruit of that tree? Well, God said they shouldn't eat of it. He never said anything about touching it. So he just added a little twist, a little deception in there. And this is the way that the demonic works, is God is the truth. And the reason why God is the truth is because the word of God, which is Jesus, is how the earth was created. We are and were created and sustained by the living word, which is Jesus. And so if his words are what actually created our laws of physics, our universe and how it functions, then everything that the word of God says has to be true, because it's literally the fabric out of which we're made. And so Satan comes in and takes that and just twists it a little bit, breaks it a little bit, and turns it into a little bit of a lie. And this is where a lot of New Age, a lot of tarot, a lot of astrology, a lot of this sort of stuff, it's taking, take astrology, for example. Astronomy is real, and we use the various star signs and all of that as a way of helping us to navigate. They are useful for monitoring seasons. I'm learning a lot about longer cycles to do with the cycles of the planet around the sun and how that affects things. The Bible says that he gave us the sun, moon, and stars for signs and for seasons. We know that we can look to them to help us understand what's happening in the universe and on Earth. But then Satan goes, and depending on your star sign, this thing's going to happen to you, or that thing, and we move into astrology.
See, that's where I get offside.
Right.
I believe in God. I'm not a Catholic. I would say I do not aspire to be Catholic again. And you can argue with me in the comments, like, go to my school and then tell me about it. But when it comes to God, the world around us, the moon, the stars, the universe, I have far too many questions about the universe at large that Christianity avoids.
Right.
And my greatest grievance...
I doubt that that's true. You just haven't come across the people who are talking about them.
Maybe.
But anyway.
But my greatest grievance with the Catholic Church is them holding all of that information in a vault in the Vatican and refusing to let us see it. Whether that's scrolls that were omitted from the Bible, whether that's evidence through the Spanish Inquisition, all of the information that for some reason the Catholic Church has decided that the rest of the world never gets to see. I have a real issue with this.
But that's the heart of the Catholic Church. I've never been a Catholic, and I'll never be one. But the Catholic Church for a long time held that the Word of God should only be written in Latin, so that the common man couldn't read it, so that you had to have a priest interpret it for you. It wasn't possible. And then the Gutenberg press came along and mass-produced the Bible, translated into the commoner's language, and people could read it for themselves. We also had, separate to that, we had Martin Luther, as distinct from Martin Luther King, Martin Luther, who was a Catholic priest. And he began to realize that his understanding of Scripture didn't match the theology of the Catholic Church. And this was the beginning of what's known as the Reformation. And he had his 99 Thesis, which he nailed to the door of a particular cathedral. And that was basically him literally sort of nailing his rejection and rebellion of Catholic theology. There is a lot wrong with the Catholic institution, in my opinion. I know many good Catholics, but there's a lot wrong with the institution. I'm not going to argue with you there. But one of the fascinating things that I discovered, so I went through a period of time in my teens and my early 20s where I wanted to stop believing in God. God was kind of cramping my style a little bit, and the fact that I believed that God existed was cutting out a lot of things that I wanted to do. Now I went ahead and did a bunch of those things anyway. But I had this war going on where I didn't want to believe in God anymore. And one of the ways that I knew I could potentially convince myself that God didn't exist was through naturalism and through science, the theory of evolution, etc. If we can prove that there are natural origins to the universe, then we can get rid of God, right? We can eliminate him out of the picture, and then I can go and do whatever I jolly well please without having to have my conscience bothering me all the time. So I really went hard down that route. But I wanted to do it properly. I've always had this, if I'm going to believe something, I need to actually believe it, not just be pretending to myself that I believe it. And so I went really hard, and there are world-renowned scientists who completely disagree with the theory of evolution, completely disagree with long ages, and all of the things that we've heard that we think are the slam dunk, open and shut. Well, this is clear evidence. Fossils. Of course, the Earth is millions of years old. Well, hold up a second. Let's talk about fossils. Same with starlight from distant stars. Same with so many different things that you point to. As I went down this rabbit hole, I went, oh dear, oh dear. I can't prove that God doesn't exist, and the more I try, the more compelling I find the evidence.
Can I say something that might be offensive, and I
Sure.
don't mean it to be so? I think that an individual's relationship to God is purely up to the individual, and how that manifests can often be tainted by the culture we grow up in. So, for example,
I agree with that.
I grew up in Japan, so I was exposed to a lot of Eastern mythologies and theology.
Shintoism and all of
right?
that. Yep.
And then I've always been sort of somewhat enamored with Buddhism, more out of curiosity. And again, I was raised in the Catholic school system. So I've kind of taken a little bit of everything. But then I told you about the psilocybin journeys I've been on.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this is where I know I'm going to piss Christians off, and that's not my intention. My version of God looks very different to the Bible version, and that it's a all-knowing, all-seeing collective that loves the world and nature and Gaia and whatever. But where I get really annoyed is when I get messages like that. I'm like, the more you do that shit to me.
Yeah, preaching at somebody very rarely works.
Because that doesn't sound to me like someone who's very self-aware. That sounds to someone who is looking at me and going, you're an untouchable, you've been taken by Satan. I was like, well, what part of that? This is the part that's really pissing. Listen to me, I'm getting on my rant. I've never said that tarot cards are fortune telling, and I don't agree that they are.
You've explicitly said to me that you don't think they are.
Yeah, they're not Wiccan. They're not witchcraft.
Yeah.
They are literally illustrations that came out. I believe they were invented in the 14th century.
Right.
To fact check me, I might be wrong on the time. They were done as playing cards, as literally like normal cards. But what people were doing is using them in a way that helps you with your intuition. Now, I don't know how you feel about intuition.
Yeah, you mentioned this before, how it's more about how you internally respond to the card that's been flipped over than it is about which card got flipped over. Now, a lot of people don't see it that way, by the way. There are a lot of people who do ascribe fortune-telling powers to them.
And that they're people who take advantage of people who are very sad and lost and depressed. And it's interesting because I gave my, every time we have a new lecturer at uni or a guest, we have to represent. And, you know, obviously I'm at the tail end now, so I'm getting pretty good at what I want to say. And I put it out there, and this person was LGBT. Yeah. Exactly as you would picture them, and was like, oh, I had a tarot reading last week. And I was like, okay. And I said my piece. And it's like, so what are you saying, that, like, you know, the tarot's not real? I'm like, absolutely it's not real. What you believe is tarot is your intuition. But the problem is we are so detached from all of those innate things. Like, people think there's only 5 senses, you know, eat, sleep, not eat, taste, hear, sight.
Someone's going to clip that one.
Right. The 5 senses, right?
Sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste.
But we have so many more. And we have so many different intuitive parts to our bodies that we have neglected. And I think a lot of religious denominations have also suppressed. Like, for example, when you look at Shintoism, Hinduism, Buddhism, there's a lot around the body and holistic healing that people negate because it doesn't fit in with their thing. So I look at it and go, I am open to listening. I will never preach at you and tell you you're wrong because I don't know. Yeah.
It's interesting because there are a lot of areas where, a lot of times in history, where religion and power, politics have become indistinguishable.
Yes.
And the church has been wrapped up in that.
Yeah.
The Church of England.
Particularly the Catholics.
Yeah. Well, the Church of England was begun because the King of England wanted
to leave
wanted to leave the Catholic Church and couldn't.
And have his concubines.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh, well, screw you. I'll start my own church, which is basically just a rebranding of the Catholic Church to start with. And then it kind of, and then it's separated from there. So the unfortunate reality is a lot of the institution has been captured, and you're right about the cultural lens. There, you know, I was literally talking about this with my dad on the way up here. My dad was a pastor, and we were talking about the challenges of, you know, he would have people that would come to him for counselling, and we see the world through a certain cultural lens. And so he would, for example, find himself sitting down with a couple or with some people wanting counselling, and the wife comes to him and says, well, I'm my husband's first wife, and, you know, he has his second wife at the same time because of cultural differences.
Okay.
It's perfectly normal for them.
Yeah.
And now he wants to start sleeping with both of us at the same time.
In the same room?
And I'm not comfortable with that. And my dad's sitting there going, how do I counsel? Like, this is so far outside of... Now, that's outside of our cultural experience, our cultural net. Under Australian law, you can't be married to 2 people at the one time, but actually that's a historical anomaly. Through most of history, and even in many parts of the world today, a man can be married to multiple women at once. But we find that completely foreign, even though we're the outliers. Yeah. Now, I'm just using that to illustrate, to agree, right? We apply a cultural lens over the top of what we read in Scripture or what we understand about God. What I will say, though, is every person's relationship with God is individual. I wholeheartedly agree, and I talk about that in my second book, Good Christians Break Bad Laws, to do with conscience. I have to obey my conscience before God. You have to obey yours. And I can't make you live by mine. I'd be violating your conscience if I did that, right? So that's true. But what's also true is that there is an actual truth about who God is. And people say, oh, no, it's all the same, man. Like, everyone's right. No, that's not possible. If there either is a God or there isn't. That God either... operates this way or operates that way. Like, there is an absolute truth about who God is. And I think the job that we have individually is to journey and to explore and to pursue God, to work out our salvation, as the Apostle Paul put it, with fear and trembling, to try and bring our understanding of God as close as possible, as best as we can as human beings, to the reality of who God is. And in Christian theology, in Roman culture, in Roman theology, they had a shrine at one particular place called the Shrine to the Unknown God. and they were worshipping this thing because they're like, there might be gods that we haven't got on our list yet. We need to make sure. And the apostle, one of the apostles, came in and said, "Let me tell you about the unknown God, this God that you worship. You don't know who they are." And one of the beautiful things in Scripture is God makes it very clear: if you sincerely seek God, He will make Himself known to you. He will make Himself findable to you if you sincerely seek Him. And so it's not for me about sitting there and saying, "Oh, well, this is what we already know to be true." I actually agree with what she said. Right? I actually think that is actually correct. I think there's a lot more demonic activity in the world than we realize. And that we expose ourselves to it and open ourselves up to it in all sorts of different ways that we don't, in Western culture, we don't recognize that that's what we're doing. I think that's true, but I don't think it's helpful to come at it that way. I think what's helpful is to say, God wants to be found by you and by everyone. And if you start to actually seek Him out and say, okay, what is this God caper? Who are you? I'm not convinced by the Bible. I've got my history with the Catholic Church. I'm wary of all of these things, but I want to know you and who you are. Then, and embark on that journey. Then God responds and says, okay, I'm going to bring someone into your life who's going to show things. Or you're going to pick up your Bible one day and go, okay, fine, I haven't touched it in 20 years. You're going to open it up and some things are going to start to click for you. Or whatever it may be, whatever your journey looks like, if you seek God, God will make Himself able to be found by you. And I think the beautiful thing for me about Christianity, and the reason why I believe in Christianity, is not because I was raised in it. It's because it is the only religion that actually has an answer for sin. And I refuse to believe, I cannot believe that God, whoever God is able to abide evil. I cannot believe that God could look at what goes on in the world and say, that's okay, I'm okay with that. Or could take someone who's done some evil and some good and go, on balance, you did more good than evil, so I'll tolerate your evil. That is a deeply broken vision of who God is or could be. Christianity actually deals with sin. God took it onto Himself, and specifically the Son of God, Jesus Christ, who is the Word. So this is the character by which our entire universe is sustained. The very definition of what is good and evil was written by God, written by Jesus Christ. Good and evil itself is defined by His Word. He came and took upon Himself the sin of the world. And all of the evil that we see around us is an unfortunate reality of the brokenness of the world that we inhabit. But all of our sin and the culpability for our sin can be taken by Christ if we will let Him. And so instead of letting people into heaven of like, oh, well, I'll pretend you didn't do that. No, justice has been served.
Yeah.
Justice has been done. Someone paid the penalty for that sin. And no other religion, Islam, Judaism without Christ, Judaism was essentially Christianity pre-Christ. They believe the Messiah is still coming. Christians believe the Messiah already came. Yeah, it's the same religion. It's a continuation of the same religion on a different timeline. But Buddhism and Hinduism and a lot of these Eastern religions, they're about on balance. And I cannot find myself being compelled by that as a narrative, as a story of how the world and sin and redemption can work. I don't see how God could say, well, you did a little bit more good than you did evil, so I'll let you in.
I will say this. Look, I'm not going to get in a discussion about theology because I'm not as versed in it like currently as you are.
Sure.
I have my reservations for obvious reasons, but I will say this. I think the further we have strayed away from those Judeo-Christian values, look at what nihilism is doing to Gen Z. And there's this resurgence of nihilism where nothing matters, so why try? Yeah. And that breeds apathy and the abandonment of hope. And I guess that's why we are descending into what feels like chaos. Now, it's so interesting because I was talking to someone about this the other day and they're like, it's not that bad, Carly. I think it's just because you watch the news. And there is an element of that. Obviously, for the sake of the podcast, I'm way more attuned to what's going on than maybe your average person. But at the same time, you cannot deny that things are escalating. The data shows it. The culture around us is showing that because of all the sectors that declined in the retail sector, there was one that grew. What one was that?
I'm going to say cosmetics because we talked about the opening of that big cosmetics company.
So across at Bunnings, all of their sectors have declined except one.
Dog collars.
Home security. Is up exponentially.
Yeah, right.
Nearly every person is going in to buy their home cameras, their Ring doorbells, And people are going one better. They're not just having external ones, they're having internal ones.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the footage that's coming out from these crimes are in someone's lounge room or the kitchen.
Yeah.
I said to G, I'm like, we've been one-upped here. We need to get those too. Because...
And have them be on Bluetooth so you can get hacked and the criminals can sit outside your home and see where in the house you are.
Well, and this is the thing. It just opens up a huge can of worms. And I do honestly believe it's because Gen Z, and this is, again, a blanket statement, I'm just saying the youth, like the younger generations, they don't have anything to hope for because their entire life they have been told that we are on the verge of catastrophic climate collapse, that you are being, that your ancestors from colonizers who did egregious things, and that everything about the Western world is terrible.
And that there's no afterlife. No one can define what good or evil is.
You say that because my stuff just got delivered, so I'm going to run down and get it.
Oh,
and
did your ring ring?
Yes, go.
All right.
Talk.
Well, let me tell you about the world, ladies and gentlemen.
Sound like the guy from V for Vendetta.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Sound like the guy from V for Vendetta. All right, let me tell you a little story about the world. As I see it, and this is a beautiful, beautiful way that it was put by John Eldridge. We were born into a war zone. We were born into a love story that is set in a world at war. The love story is the love of Father God wanting to be reconciled with his wayward children. And the war is the war zone of creation where evil seeks to keep us away from that reconciliation. And I think that's such a beautiful way to view the Christian narrative and the Christian story. And when you use that as the backdrop and you start to understand things like this text that the message that Carly got, it starts to be viewed in a different light. And I find that a really useful sort of a shorthand to go, well, yeah, we were born into a love story where our Father God wants to be reconciled to us, but that love story is set in the backdrop of a world at war where evil wants to keep us away from that reconciliation. That does not look like merch.
It's not the merch.
That is desperately disappointing. Is that your latest delivery of dildos?
Yes, it is. That's how I'm going to make my money after you leave. Yeah. This set doubles as my OnlyFans set.
Stretching that sourdough.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
You were excited.
I was excited. I wanted to see it.
Do we get to see what that is now? Do we get an unboxing?
We can. Hang on. It's on its way. It'll be delivered today.
Dear oh dear, such disappointment, Carly. Such disappointment.
It says it's coming at some point.
We are like literally 10 minutes away from the 3-hour mark, so we probably can't keep going until it gets here. That's probably a bit much.
That's just annoying because I was like, that'd be so fun. It arrives and then I have my hoodies. Anyway, what is this?
What are we? What?
It's a book. Yet another book for me. It is called Palette Perfect for Graphic Designers and Illustrators.
It has yellow pages, but it's not the yellow pages.
No, hang on, put it on me. It's all about color palettes. So a designer's dream.
Oh.
All about color theory and gradients.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
This shit lights me up.
That's great, Carly.
Yeah.
Yay.
This is what us art nerds get off on.
I don't need to know what you and G get up to.
G does not get into this, let me tell you.
Apparently he likes trains.
Trains?
Didn't you say that you
he
went to the
loves
train
trains.
museum?
Yeah. That's not colour theory.
I know, but if you got to decide which colour you're going to paint the train.
Stop. Abandon that train of thought.
I see what you did there.
Okay, I think we've
done that. But yes, what other topic?
We did have the Nepal thing, but I feel like we can't really do it justice, or should we touch on it?
Well, it'll be you because I actually haven't looked into it.
Okay, well, let's touch on it. So essentially the Nepalese government tried to ban social media to regulate misinformation.
Well, hang on. Was this in response to unrest already taking place?
Look, I to be honest, I have a very superficial thing.
I haven't had the chance to look into it, but yeah.
So there's definitely an uprising. And look, Nepal has gone through absolute turmoil in recent years. You know, earthquakes, poverty, and they share the border with China. So there's a whole lot of territory issues.
Yep.
And also, I would say exploitation, because look what's happening to Everest. Like, it has been an aspiration of mine to climb Everest, and now I won't do it just for what is happening up there.
You literally have a queue of people trying to get to the top.
Everything just gets so commercialized, and because
walking past dead bodies.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
The dead bodies are the markers. There was a body called Green Boots.
Yeah.
Which was like up in the death zone, which would be keep going this way, and then you get to, Hillary steps or whatever it is. So there's a lot of issues with Nepal, but
I blame Norgay Tenzing. If he hadn't have gone up to the top with Edmund Hillary that first time around, then we wouldn't be in this mess today.
Do you know why I want to go up there? I just feel like there's something about being that close to the stars. Like you asked me what the latitude, longitude was on my car.
Your car,
yeah. And I have to get asked that now.
Yeah.
So my whole tagline for my old company was live, superlative, not as a statement. And no one knew what that meant. And then, because I love to leave what I call Easter eggs, and apparently they're too sophisticated, so people don't understand what they are.
Sophisticated Easter eggs.
Yeah, well, I just think too much, apparently. So I put on the coordinates, and I've also got it on my arm, which I don't know if you can see. The coordinates for the peak of Mount Everest. And I think that there should be no limits on your aspiration and your pursuit of excellence and achievement. And that's why I thought, like, what better way to demonstrate that than to climb to the highest point of the planet?
I will climb Mount Everest when they build a cafe up there where I can have eggs Benedict in the morning, right? I like the civilized world. I think that is conquest in its own way. We have conquered nature and the wildness of the planet in so many ways. I'm good with that kind of conquest.
I just think that there's something pretty magical standing literally on top of the world.
I don't doubt it, and I will high five you when you get back down to the bottom.
I don't think I'll do it now. I think I feel really deterred from it, just what's going on, unless things dramatically change. And look, to be honest, I don't know if I'll be allowed to, given my my physical issues. So, but there is an uprising, and so what happened was, The government buildings are now on fire, and the Nepalese...
And that's like the government building, isn't it? That's
it's their parliament.
Yeah, their parliament.
It's been set ablaze as violent anti-corruption protests rocked the nation for a second day, prompting the Prime Minister to resign. Crowds have taken to the streets in the capital city of Kathmandu for a second day on Tuesday as demonstrators called on the government to tackle corruption, following a social media ban. At least 22 people have been killed in the unrest.
Okay, so can we pause there, not just blast over that? So this is a level of unrest where people are being killed by security forces. This is well beyond whatever we saw in Melbourne during COVID, etc. This is a whole nother level again. And this is one of the reasons why I just don't know whether Australians have what it takes, because I suspect that in Australia, if that were to happen, a couple of people started getting killed, run over, shot, whatever, I think a lot of people would just go home.
Well, yeah. So
whereas they doubled down.
So what's interesting, like they keep talking about Gen Z, and like I said, I have a very superficial knowledge of this, but let's read this article together.
Yep.
Some students rallied in school uniform in what has been called the Gen Z protests, calling for the government to overturn a ban on platforms like Facebook, X and YouTube from operating in the country. I didn't realise they were banning them completely. Authorities have responded violently, opening fire on the crowds, leaving at least 19 people dead. The anger that saw thousands rally in defiance of a curfew a day later ran far deeper than concerns about access to Facebook and WhatsApp. Everybody is flying out of the country for jobs. People are facing poverty here. The roads are terrible. And so interestingly, I've saved them.
Did we switch to an article about Australia?
No, but it sounds a lot like it. So this is what's doing the rounds on social media. So these are the politicians' kids exploiting their wealth. And so what a lot of Nepalese kids are doing are putting these two videos together, showing what's happening, the devastation of Nepal, and contrasting it to the nepotism. And, like Gen Z is enamored with socialism. They believe in redistributing wealth. And look, to be fair, they have a point here. Nepal has been obliterated by exploitation.
And when it's come from corruption, government is a servant of the people. No one should be getting rich. Nancy Pelosi saying it's nobody's business how I made $100 million while I was working, as a public servant. Well, sorry, it is everyone's business. How you made that. No, when it comes to corruption, I'm all for taking off people the proceeds of crime. That's whatever riches they have gained. If they've gained it through corruption, that does not belong to them.
Yeah, so it's pretty chaotic. So essentially what I'm reading is that there's an uprising of the poorer class, and a lot of these politicians have been forced to flee, and they're being bashed, they're being thrown in the river, the wife of one of them has been killed. And I guess this is what happens when you push people too far.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying I understand it.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's...
and this is such an important thing to realize. When you take away from people a peaceful means of change, of improving their lives, of leaving to their children a better life than what they had for themselves, when you systematically remove from them every peaceful option, they go for the other one.
Yeah.
You know, the politicians imagine that the problem goes away. If we just make sure they've got no options, then the problem goes away. No, if you make sure they've got no peaceful options, they go for plan B.
This is worth reading out. But at the heart of the anger is a sense that Nepal's democracy has been betrayed. Nepal has had multiple movements for democracy, but it is still being kind of hosted by the very autocratic, lazy mentality. So even though it looks like a democracy on paper, people have not been able to realize it. Since the abolition of the monarchy in 2008, Nepal has struggled to build a stable democratic institution. Governments change frequently, and political parties are often dominated by a handful of aging leaders. Ms. Rai has described a system captured by dynasties and loyalists. These old leaders of these old political parties, they have this kind of very nepotistic power structure. They're children or henchmen. There's a lot of resentment to the nepotistic, feudal, loyalist political culture. And I understand that. I get that.
Yep.
And I sense that it's so interesting, the nepotism thing, because Gen Z is furious about it.
Yeah.
You know, people who have got successful parents, famous parents getting a leg up. And there's a huge element of that in the entertainment industry.
But even in politics, look at Hunter Biden and how much
100%.
money he's been able to make because of his dad's connections. Even to a certain degree, I don't think that this is a terrible example of it. But look at Pauline Hanson and her daughter getting into politics in Tasmania. She ran and wasn't able to get in. And then when their New South Wales senator stepped down, allegedly for health reasons, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, she should just appoint her daughter up in New South Wales to become a senator there. And to her credit, she said, well, actually, I think it was the daughter actually, to her credit, said, no, that's not how this works. And she wanted to stay in Tassie and do her thing there. But yeah, an opportunity for, nepotism. I'll just parachute my daughter in.
Yeah.
You know, and thankfully that didn't happen in this case.
Yeah, and you see it a lot. Like I think most famously recently was David Beckham's son, Brooklyn, called himself a photographer, and he released a photography book of some of the most rubbish photography. And to be honest, most of them he was in. So it wasn't even his photography.
Wow.
It was photos of him.
Yeah, okay.
And it was one of those classic cases of the only reason this got made is because you're David Beckham's son.
Yeah, and no one has had the compassion, the love for you to tell you, no, this is really, really dumb and you're too stupid to see it yet.
Yes.
But I'm going to save you from yourself and in 10 years you'll thank me.
Well, look what's happened to Will Smith's kids, Jaden and what's the other one?
I don't know.
I can't even remember.
To whip my hair back and forth.
Willow and Jaden.
Yeah.
They're basket cases because you indulge it and because they feel like they have a right to it.
Yeah.
So I look, and this is the issue. I was rewatching a Marilyn Manson documentary. You know when he got blamed for the Columbine shootings?
No, I didn't know that.
Do you know that? And Michael Moore made a video called Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah, he made the documentary, yeah.
And I was rewatching. It was like
I've actually watched that, but I don't remember Marilyn Manson being
he
in
got
it.
interviewed in it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so because that's what happened. They blamed Marilyn Manson, and I don't know why I'm enamored with Marilyn Manson. I know he's been talked about as like Me Too'd and stuff, and at this point with the Me Too stuff, I don't know. I think Marilyn Manson's a very bizarre character.
Yep.
But he is highly intelligent. And have I told you this story?
I don't know.
Another
you
tangent.
You haven't started it, so
A
I
tangent
don't
to
know where
finish.
this is going.
His biography, A Long Road Out of Hell, is one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah, right.
So I started by reading Anthony Kiedis's Scar Tissue, and I was reading it in Egypt, and then someone gave me Long Road Out of Hell, and it's basically his upbringing. And Marilyn Manson was raised in a very strict Catholic upbringing.
Yeah.
And I see why he rebelled against the church. I understand it. And so a lot of what he does, he uses art to make people think. And it's funny, he said something, I was like, that is so poignant, that is so relevant for today. Because Michael Moore's sitting there, he's like, what would you say to the kids from Columbine if you could speak to them today? And Marilyn Manson turns around and goes, well, I wouldn't say anything. I'd sit there and listen because no one else did. And I'm like, Marilyn Manson was ahead of his time. that is what's wrong with Gen Z. They have fair comments to make about how they feel. And a lot of it we can point to, again, like I said, the indoctrination in schools, being told that there's no opportunities, that the climate's collapsing. So if you were raised in that kind of incubated world, it would make sense why they look at the world the way they do and why they hate everyone.
Yeah.
They've adopted nihilism because that's the only thing that's left. So we can't just hate Gen Z because they're annoying. We bred them.
Well, yes, they've adopted it because they've been told that's the only thing that's left. That isn't, of course, true.
No, that's what I'm saying. So we can't be mean to them because in their reality, that is the truth.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
They've been lied to, and this. I look at people like Greta Thunberg, and I say, well, you've been lied to. You've been lied to all your life. You are in a way, she is a victim of abuse. Now she's an adult now, and she needs to take some responsibility for her own stupidity now. But at least as it was when she first was thrust onto the world scene, she was a victim of abuse and brainwashing. And that's very, very true. But this is also where I think that brainwashing combined with the lifelong message that they're not responsible for their own life and that they should be rewarded regardless of their actual effort or their actual outcomes. The two of those things combined is a particularly toxic mix. And these kids need to be rescued from themselves. These kids need to be held responsible. These kids need to learn the value of $1 and that they do need to actually create more than they consume and all of those basics, unfortunately, which used to happen in childhood. That used to be a default part of an upbringing.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, we do have a generation where a lot of these people don't know that. And we've talked before about the fact that it's splitting. There are a lot of young people that are actually going hard down there. I'm going to get a trade. I'm going to be useful. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to, get back to life as it was for my grandparents, because that's the last sane generation that they can see. As they look back in their family tree, they're like, you all went nuts from then on, right? I'm going back to that. I see a lot of hope for the future. Honestly, I do, because one of the things that often gets underestimated when people look at generations and cultural shifts over time is people's ability to actually correct and people's ability to change over time. They've been raised this way. That doesn't mean they're condemned to be this way forever. We know for a fact that people mature with time, that life kicks them in the head a few times. People can be socialists all the way up until they get their first paycheck and realize that a chunk got taken out of it for taxes. And people can have these epiphanies and these moments over time. And, when we talk about Gen Z and younger, we're talking about generations that haven't had those epiphanies yet because they haven't faced those life circumstances, many of them yet. So I think give it time. But also I think what's happening now is the crazies got a hold of all the levers of power. We saw that with Wokeness. And now they're being made to sit at the back of the bus while the adults get back in charge. And I think we saw that with the video there with Trump.
Yeah.
Talking about the importance of Judeo-Christian values, recognizing the importance of prayer, recognizing that celebrating our achievements is actually a good and a worthy thing, and we don't have to apologize for our existence, recognizing that the basics of biological reality ought to be recognized in law and not played with.
Yeah.
These are things that were unthinkable. What he said there, we're living in a very different world now to what we had 1 year ago. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. And if Javier Milei in Argentina taught us anything, it's that the snapback can be a lot quicker than you realize economically. But I believe the same thing is actually true culturally as well. The snapback, the people who have been on board the crazy train, not all of them are going to stay on it.
Yeah.
Many of them are abandoning it. Many of them will change.
I think they're fatigued.
Well, but a lot of them were just weather vanes. They were just going the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And that means that they can't be trusted as allies of the right cause, just as they can't be trusted as allies of the wrong cause. But they will switch, and only the diehards, the new generation of bitter clingers that we've talked about, they'll go down with it. They'll ride that train all the way till it goes off the cliff. But that's not the majority.
Yeah.
And so with adults back in charge, and especially if we see a J.D. Vance or just a decent person getting elected to follow Donald Trump in the US, I have very, very high hopes for the US.
Yeah.
I don't quite have those same high hopes for Australia just yet. But then again, look at how quickly America has changed.
I'm interested. So we've got to wrap up, but I thought I'd share this. Like, I'm going on the weekend.
Yep.
I'll be at the protest. And if you see me, say hi. Be nice to me. Don't throw things at me. I am curious to see now with the youth crime stuff getting to a point where it's just...
People are talking about it.
It's everywhere.
Yep.
And it sounds as terrible as it is. I think there is a growing resentment, particularly to Jacinta Allan. It might just like everyone. I read it in your comments all the time. Oh, Melbourne, give up on them. They're too far gone. Don't give up on us. Don't give up on us yet, because there's so many of us who do care, but we are up against like a minority of people who hold a lot of power.
Yeah.
And so these protests.
But let's be honest, the smart ones have got out already.
Oh, 100%. No, I agree, and I'm still leaving.
Yeah.
Because I'm so frustrated. But like when we say, I don't think that could happen in Australia, I don't think we've ever felt this before.
Yeah, and that's true. That's true.
I'm not writing us off, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, and I would have said that the US was in a really, really, really bad way in 2020 when Trump lost that election. I was like, well, that's kind of it. Like, it's the world's gonna go to hell in a handbasket now.
Yeah.
And sure, some things did get worse. Other things have gotten better. And now things are getting better in a really big way. The age of woke is receding. We're seeing a return of adults into positions of power. Watch what's happening in France right now. We'll cover that in a future Oddcast.
Yeah.
A lot of these chickens are coming home to roost, and people are actually going to be held accountable now.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as they should. No, definitely not as much as they should. But this idea that they can do all this stuff and there's no accountability, that era is over.
Yeah, I think that the age of transparency, and people know it now. Like even that's one thing that will align the right and the left is the suppression of information, whether it comes from whoever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's more so limiting people's access to information. You can see that there's a groundswell of support for that now. It's happening in the UK. We didn't even talk about the Banksy. I had the Banksy, but we can talk about that on Monday.
Yeah.
It was a big
There's
3 days.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I've got a backlog of video topics for me to research. Yeah.
And I thought we'd end the show because I've just sent you all your photos. Palette cleanse. So these are the last of your photos. They're all edited. But look how good you look. That could be an editorial shot.
There you go. Have you got any of the studio ones? Or are you holding out? No. Sorry, where you set up the light and you had the profile.
Oh, yeah. Look at that one.
They're the ones I was looking forward to seeing.
Oh, yeah, hang on. Let me get them for you. 1 minute.
All those other ones, I know what I look like in a suit jacket. Come on, get out of here.
So you're going. I don't know if actually. No, I'm not going to show you yet because.
Are you holding out on?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to because they are going to be like the hero shot on the website.
That's the reveal.
Yeah, I think no. Actually, I'm going to hold that back.
Cliffhanger, everybody.
Yeah, but I will show you the last.
Okay, so can we pause here? I need to get a third light. I need an edge light coming over on the shadowed side of my face there. So I'm saving up for one at the moment. Buy me a coffee, everybody. Help me to afford.
Why don't you just use some bounce guard?
No, I want that crisp line.
Oh, okay.
I want the separation between me and the background on the edge of the face and on the back of the shoulder, and specifically to show off my developing cheekbones. Now that I've lost a bit of weight and I'm not like all
okay
all the time. Yeah.
And then
I'm not vain. I'm not vain at all.
And last one is some cool shots. Rest of the
wow,
shoot.
I look fantastic.
What an improvement.
That is an amazing photograph of me,
Look
babe.
at your décolletage.
I just called you babe. That is an amazing photograph of me, Carly.
Your wife's going to be
G.
like, what?
Please don't hunt me down.
G finds this stuff so creepy.
It is creepy.
It is a bit, but look at the beautiful light in her eyes. Oh, I love details. This just gets me all sorts of happy. Look at that. Beautiful.
Okay, good.
And then,
good for you.
Yeah, I love that one. That's beautiful.
Okay.
That gives me Black Swan vibes. Yeah?
Yeah,
Go and say it.
No, you've dipped far enough into the arty world that you've lost me behind. Like I can still see you, but I'm not coming with you.
Yeah.
Not out to there.
Do you know what?
Too far.
I definitely wanted to push the envelope on this. And so what I was trying to emulate, just for those of you who think this is just weird, I'll bring it up so I can talk about it.
They're right.
It is weird. It's meant to be. So I have got arguably beautiful commercial looking photos. And that is contrast to these more sinister, somewhat ugly yet weirdly beautiful shots that are shot commercially well. Like they're well coloured, they're well lit, but they're more grotesque to look at. So, remember, I'm talking about beauty standards. And the whole point is if you come in and look at what are objectively, nice looking photos, you'll be like, oh, yeah, pretty bye.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Yeah.
If you come in to see something that's like that or that milk shot that I showed you, you're going to be like, what the hell am I looking at?
I'm just thinking about the $2 worth of stockings that you had to ruin
They
for
were
that
$8.
shot.
Inflation's killing me. And it cost me $10 to buy that packet of powdered milk.
It's expensive to be an artist these days, I tell you.
$10 for a bunch of powder that I'm literally going to flush down the drain. But so what I was trying to symbolize with this is what happens when we start adhering to these beauty standards and things start to go wrong. Like, think of the stockings as a layer of your skin. I couldn't show skin ripping off.
Yeah.
That's what it's meant to show. Like, you got the ladder down the side.
Yeah.
She looks uncomfortable. You can see her ears all folded in.
Yeah.
Things look like under the skin, there's a mess.
So I've seen this in real life.
What,
in brace yourselves, drinking gamers, in Venezuela. The worst plastic surgery that you will ever see. And it wasn't necessarily terrible the day that it was done. It just wasn't done to a quality where it lasted.
Yeah, okay.
And so you would see people where it was very, very clear where their implant on their butt or on their breast began and when it ended, what was done to their face. You could see it all. There was a story. The history of it all was written on their body.
Sad.
And I've like, it's kind of haunting. It really puts you off the idea of any of these sorts of augmentations because you're just like, oh, like this does not age well. Now theirs was particularly poor quality.
Yeah.
But it is that kind of thing of what's going to happen to the girls who start getting Botox at 20.
That's what I meant. That's what I'm saying.
Where does that lead?
Yeah,
in the long run.
You don't need to be super arty-farty. Like, just to stick up for art. The whole point of it is to get you to think. And if that's achieved making you uncomfortable.
That's impossible with me. So I'm a lost cause.
We'll give up on you.
Yeah.
You're good at articulating even though you're incredibly dumb.
Yeah, but I can't think. Other people do my thinking for me.
I'm incredibly terrible at elocution and articulating, but boy, am I a deep thinker.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Your audience is like, get her off. She's terrible. You had a couple of those this week.
Look, but
she's terrible.
It's literally just part of the background noise now.
I've stopped looking at the comments. I've given up caring. I'm like, whatever, man.
Good.
Whatever. But so that's the whole point, is to get you to think and get you going, what the hell am I looking at? Yeah. Why are we having this conversation?
Well, thankfully, here at the Oddcast, we're not about getting people to think. So we hope you've enjoyed
We tell you, we're here about indoctrinating you.
3 hours and 15 minutes of pure indoctrination and drivel and sourdough, which hasn't been stretched.
It needs to be stretched now. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to go stretch my sourdough and...
It sounds so wrong. Why does it sound so wrong?
And then tomorrow, you guys will wake up without your own sourdough and I'll be eating my delicious one.
Everybody scan the QR code that is above Carly's head way over there. Over there. Scan that. Buy us a coffee, head over to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. That's my website. But buy the Oddcast merch, and that will go towards supporting the Oddcast itself. Anything else you buy of my stuff, that goes towards supporting me and is, of course, much appreciated. But support the Oddcast. Make sure you've subscribed. Please tell people about us.
Yes.
Tell people about the Oddcast. If you have a chuckle, if you look forward to it, if it's a bit of a highlight of your week, please don't keep us a secret. Share us around.
Correct. And we're really bad at promoting ourselves. So we kind of rely on you guys to do that.
Yeah, that's what we have you for. Come on.
Yeah, I only have 2 brain cells.
That dough is starting to smell really good.
Yeah.
That actually is.
Starting to break down.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good loaf of sourdough. And I'm not going to get any of it because I won't be here anymore.
Look, you know what? I can make you a loaf next week if I'm feeling generous.
Tell you what, make me a celebration loaf in your new house because a new and different oven is going to fail for sure. And me arriving to you having a failed sourdough is going to make me feel better about myself.
Failed sourdough? What are you talking about? I'm very excited. This is our second last episode in this room. And now I've got crumbs everywhere.
I look forward to seeing the new room.
Yeah, so we were trying to lay it out. So I'm going to get us new chairs. We've got a new desk.
Wow.
Moving up in the world.
I won't know myself.
And yeah, we're trying to figure out, we're going to build like a false wall because where we are, we'll have windows, but they're not as like symmetrical
picturesque
as this. It's just one big window. So we're going to build like a false wall in front of it, which is why please like go buy a coffee, buy a hoodie, buy something.
You know what I just realised that makes me super happy?
What?
G only just ran all of these cables to perfection.
He's got to do it all over again.
A month and a half ago?
Yeah.
And
you keep him busy.
Oh, yeah.
Keep him busy,
You're
Randy.
welcome, G. You are so welcome.
No, he's really into it. He's the man behind the scenes. We were trying to figure out if we can get, you guys can't see this, and I don't think I can turn it around to show you, but where the two lights are, they're on these big stands because they're heavy. They're on a higher graded stand, and then we've got the tripods, so each camera's on a tripod.
Yeah.
It's very like organized chaos. G was like, how about we build like some kind of thing
Rail. Yeah.
that we can
I
I
originally planned to put that into my studio, and then in the end, with the cost, it was kind of like, no, I'll just put them on stands on the ground. But
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can.
Well, that was like 'cause we're renting, so it needs to be something. But he's like, oh, I'll just make it out of aluminium.
Figure it out. All right, we've got to finish. It's 3 hours and 18 minutes. Bye.